things Everton, and welcome to the live Everton Rewind, where we're going to be rewatching classic Everton matches. Alongside me tonight, we've got Cameron Hay from the Mighty Blues YouTube channel.
Hi everyone, hope you're well. Sorry, go on.
Nah, you go first, mate, by all
I was
means.
just going to say I hope everyone's well and looking forward to it, obviously. And seen your season review a couple of days ago, unbelievable season this, and I think I'm right in saying this the last time we beat the top six side away from home.
Unfortunately, I think it is, but if, of course, like Cameron said, if you haven't seen my season rewind show from a couple of days ago alongside Terry and Matt from the Blue Room, be sure to get back and watch that once you're done with this, of course. And yeah, it went down really well, as did Cameron's big Everton quiz, which he did last week, and we're thrilled to have him back once again. How are you doing before we get started?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. Obviously, you know, it's not great at the moment, is it, being stuck in and not being able to do much and being restricted, but love coming on and doing things like this and just getting to talking about Everton and even, like I said, reviewing old games and having something to watch, obviously, because there's not much to do. I've been a little bit addicted to Call of Duty in the last sort of 48 hours, so I'm glad to get myself away from it because it's not doing good for me health, so I'm not bad. How are you, mate?
I know the feeling. I just had my FIFA 20 delivered this morning, which I've been abstaining from FIFA for about 2 years, and I just thought now's the time to fall back off the wagon.
Yeah, definitely. If there's any time, it's now anyway.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I'm not too bad, mate. It's the same thing. I'm just enjoying doing these kind of shows and basically just keeping my football addiction going and sort of getting me fixed. I mean, there's not a lot really to do other than rewatch old games, and I'm lucky to have found this Footballia website, which is full of old archive games. So, in case you were wondering, guys, Cameron and I are going to be watching this stream on Footballia, the site where you can watch full online historic matches just by signing up for free. If you want to join in with us and watch the game yourselves, get yourself signed up now on Footballia by clicking the link in the description below and get your account created. We're going to start watching the game ourselves in about 5 minutes, so be sure to get yourselves signed up, watch along and get involved as well. Post a few comments in the live chat as well. Well, tonight, of course, we're going back to Roberto Martinez's first season, as Cameron said, and to the 4th of December 2013 to be exact. Everton travelling to Manchester United in search of a first win at Old Trafford in 21 years. United had none other than David Moyes in the dugout. Just 6 months after he left Goodison and just 4 months on from his infamous lowballing offers for Leighton Baines and Marouane Fellaini. The latter of whom, of course, ended up with Moyes at Old Trafford and plays for the opposition in this game. So it's Roberto's Blue Army looking to end the long wait for a win at Old Trafford, and you know what happens next, so be sure to tune in on Footballia as well and watch along with Cameron and me. Like I say, you've got about 5 minutes to get yourselves in sync with us if you want to start, or if you want to start a little bit later, by all means, but just get involved and keep posting in the live chat, like I say. And until then, me and Cameron are going to make some small talk about probably Everton or something to do with self-isolation. It looks like an interesting little setup you've got there. Are you in your room or are you?
Yeah, it's just my bedroom, mate. I went away to Mexico in the summer last year, July, and I've said for ages and ages and ages that I wanted my bedroom doing up, but I've got bad OCD, and I'm not one for change, and I'm not one for things being moved or things being turned around while I'm seeing it. So my mum and dad, when I was in Mexico, took it under the control and knew they had 2 weeks really to totally redo my room, and I'm massively grateful to them, because I come back and everything was as where I'd put it, but it was all massively different. My bed it's a double bunk bed. The reason it's a double bunk bed is because I couldn't have a double bed in this room on its own because there'd be simply no room, so instead they put it as a bunk bed, and there's a little couch underneath it for me to sit, and there's a telly over there to watch as well, and then I've got my desk, I've got the Mighty Blues frame up there, which I don't know if you can make it out, but every letter is got a player next to it whose surname begins with that letter.
Yeah, I can see Neville Southall sitting against the number X.
Yeah, just the end there. I think there's loads there. I think Yakubu's there at the Y as well. Howard at the H. So I've got that there. The missus bought me that for Christmas. And then just meet me desk in front of me window really. So It's alright, it's alright, and I'm just massively made up it was done while I couldn't see any of it. I've since seen some of the pictures. They took pictures halfway through it and that, and I said to me mum, if I was here at that point, I'd have literally gone out my mind. I'd have gone out my mind, seeing everything in a mess and stuff being everywhere. But yeah, I've come back and it was all done. So I'm very, very grateful. Very, very grateful for that, and it's good in a time like this when there's not much to do and I can sit at my desk and I can talk about Everton, and it surprised me, to be honest, when the league first got sort of suspended. I was sort of thinking, is this going to be like a clutching at straws thing? Is there not going to be much? Are we going to be getting, very little information per week? But obviously Everton doing what Everton do with the Blue Family campaign, and
they're doing brilliantly.
Yeah, they are. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So there's loads to talk about. There's loads to get involved with, and there's loads of positivity as well. And it's important to be positive at this time, I think, definitely.
Yeah, and of course this is an Everton show, so it wouldn't be an Everton show without some difficulties. And of course, someone's ringing me right now, so I'm just going to answer this call before or button someone before we get started.
Yeah, go on, no worries. I'll carry on. What's everyone been doing in isolation then? What have we been up to? What have we been getting involved with? Like I said before, I've been probably unhealthily addicted to the new Call of Duty Warzone. When I'm not sort of doing the channel and when I'm not Skyping with the missus and stuff, I'm mostly playing Call of Duty, and it's all fun and games until you go 4 games getting killed within 10 seconds, and then it's just like, oh my god, I need to put it down. But that's what I've been up to, obviously trying to keep my mind active, trying to keep my mind healthy as well. So get your comments in, get your what you've been doing during the quarantine, during the self-isolation. How have you been coping? How have you been staying positive? Be really interesting to hear as well, because it's good to have these conversations, because somebody might be sitting there struggling, thinking, I haven't been able to stay positive, I've struggled, I'm not doing great, and somebody might, they might read a comment in the comment section to say, oh, I've been watching Netflix, or I've been running around the garden, and you might think, what, I'll have a little go with that, and it might help. So get them in. Philippe says Toffee from Uruguay. All right, Philippe, I hope you're doing well. Sombrero numero uno says Toffee from Sweden. Belter. We are all ready. Remember to go over to the Footballia link in the description. It's also in the chat as well. John put it in the chat there. So go over there, create an account. It literally takes 30 seconds. You put your email in, you put a password in, you get a confirmation email, you click confirm, put a few details in, nickname, etc., where you're from, a date of birth and stuff. And then if you go to the search bar, switch the little tab from player to teams, type in Everton, and this game specifically is on page 3. So you can either click the link in the chat, which I believe will take you straight to the game, or you can go and do it manually, type in Everton, go to page 3, and it's near the bottom. Obviously, it's Manchester United versus Everton, December of 2013. I think it's December 4th or 3rd. I can't remember the date fully. That's bad of me, that. Yeah, it's December 2014 anyway. Yeah, the 4th of December, week 14. So obviously get over there if you want to watch along with us. We'll be starting shortly when James comes back. We'll give you a few minutes to get over there, create an account, etc., do the verification email and stuff like that. If you created it and you haven't done the verification email, then maybe check and you haven't received the verification email, sorry, then maybe check your junk mail, or your spam. It might have gone in there purely by accident. Christian says Toffee from Hungary, Belter. Andrew says, all right, lads, this is a great idea. This is great, lads. Thank you very much, Andrew. Really do appreciate it. If you're enjoying, if you're looking forward to the stream, don't forget to, couple of things. Please do hit that like button. It means a massive, massive amount to us here on the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. That only takes a second. And get the stream shared. Let's get as many people in here as possible on social media. I'll share it on my social media in just a second. Let's get as many people in here, because this was one of the better games, one of the best games of that season. It was a fantastic season under Roberto Martinez. For me, it was my favourite season in the 21 years of being on this planet, and I think it was Everton's best season. Now, don't get me wrong, I was alive in the 2005 season when we finished in the Champions League, but I wasn't quite old enough to remember it clearly. I do remember it briefly, but I wasn't quite old enough to remember it clearly and fondly. But obviously, this season only being 6 years ago, and when you say 6 years, it's like, oh my god, has it been 6 years since that season? But it has. So I remember it really, really well and really, really fondly, and it was a fantastic season. We were literally demolishing teams left, right and centre, week in, week out. We had Ross Barkley, who at the time was one of the best number 10s in the country, Lukaku, same with him. And again, this was, like we said at the start of the team, me and James, the last time we're beating a top 6 side away from home, and it was the first time we'd beaten a top 6 side away from home in the Premier League for quite a while as well. Here we go, James is back. We'll probably give it another couple more minutes. What are we saying? Answer your call. Get that sorted.
Yeah, another minute or so, I'd say.
Sound.
Let's get to 20 past and
and then we'll start. Sound.
We'll kick off.
Someone's asked thoughts on the Grealish rumours. If you'd asked me this last week, I'd take that. I probably would still take Jack Grealish at the. I'd snap your hand off for him. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's got the leadership qualities that we need. Obviously, captaining Aston Villa and on the ball. I really do think he's, there's that comparison to James Maddison. Personally, I think he's better. Obviously, we've had the stuff over the last week, which is massively, massively disappointing and massively, massively, I think it just shows the arrogance of footballers. We've seen Kyle Walker with a similar story in the papers. The arrogance of that rules don't apply to them, and because they're on a lot more money than most people, they can do what they want practically, and that's not good to see. And it does bring up that situation a few years ago when he was flat out on the floor in Ibiza, but that was passed off and he was a child then, and he matured an awful lot. And if this is only an isolated mistake, then as a player himself, not judging his private life, etc., as a player himself, I think he's fantastic, and I think he'd do Everton wonders. I really, really do. What do you reckon, mate? Jack Grealish? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit torn on Grealish because I'm very sceptical when I think about players who are like playing for the boyhood clubs, a bit like maybe Barkley was for Everton. Yeah. I mean, this might be a bit confusing, but I don't think that players can sometimes raise the game. Like when Ashley Williams came here from Swansea, and we expected him to do the same job for us that he did for Swansea, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Ever since that, I've always been a little bit sceptical of pulling players from the boyhood clubs.
Yeah, definitely.
And expecting them to do the same job here. And I'm not completely sold. I mean, I think, like you say, I think he's an incredibly gifted player, but I still see Grealish the same way I saw Ross Barkley, and that he probably would be an upgrade technically on what we've got at present, but
yeah, it would cost a lot of money.
Well, that's it. I'm not big on buying from the Premier League either. I don't think there's any value in the market.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And obviously, I think it's like the English premium. I think we'll be looking at paying stupid money, and usually, more often than not, when we have done that in the past, it's come back to bite us.
Yeah, spot on.
I like Gylfi Sigurdsson most notably, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's the most noticeably at the moment, isn't he? I agree. Not everyone can be a Wayne Rooney and leave the boyhood club and go on to be as good, even better than they were at the boyhood club. So I do see where you're coming from. I do. Ashley Williams is a boss example there, a player that was really, really solid for Swansea. I remember the day we signed Ashley Williams, I was made up. I was like, oh my God, he was fantastic at Swansea. He's going to come in, he's going to shore up the defence, and he was just a disaster from start to finish.
It was unbelievable, really, because I thought he was, like, particularly after the Martinez years where we conceded a lot of goals, I thought he was going to be the man to like shore up that defence, and it just wasn't to be. Instead, we have that infamous meme now of Michael Keane and Ashley Williams getting in a tangle at Old Trafford.
Yeah. Or Ashley Williams throwing punches at was it Leon? Or
Leon,
in the Europa League, and he started throwing punches at players.
In fairness, in that season when we had Allardyce for the second half, that was probably the most entertaining part of that entire season.
It was. It wasn't a great game, and then just seeing him throw. I remember looking. He didn't get sent off for it, did he? And I remember going home and watching, going, how has he not been sent off there? He's literally thrown a dig at about 5 people. Sorry.
Hilarious stuff, though.
It's mad.
Right, anyway, we are ready to get going.
Yeah, let's go.
You want to watch along with us, guys? We're going to be kicking off right about now.
There we go. Martin Atkinson is the referee there. Brilliant.
Shinji Kagawa, remember him?
I know. He went to Dortmund, didn't he? Did he go? He went to Dortmund.
He came from Dortmund and went back.
Oh, okay.
And we're off.
Kick off. Here we go. Lukaku with his dreads there. First half.
Halkyn Day. They were the best days of his career, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Look at that. Ross Barkley.
Touch, what a touch.
That's what we don't really see much of him doing that these days. I don't think
No.
even at Chelsea's.
I think he's lost a bit of himself. I think he's lost a bit of that confidence that he had. He knew he was a kid coming into the first team with nothing to lose, and obviously as time went on and he got that typical Evertonian expectation of that every week he should be, putting in, scoring or assisting. He lost a little bit of that confidence, I think, and he started to get a little bit worried, and then obviously he had all the background stuff, and then, like you said, he doesn't do it much at Chelsea. Ball in by Big Kev. Remember Kevin Morales that season was fantastic, wasn't it?
That was his best season for us this year. He was unbelievable. I mean, this was the only season where I think he did it on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And
when he was consistent, he could have been one of the best players we've had. He was up there with the likes of a Kanchelskis or someone like that, with the kind of mercurial talent that he had and what he could do on his day.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, I think it was a bit like Kanchelskis had that 95-96 season where he was unreal, and this was that for him. Maybe not quite on that level, but
very similar.
He was unbelievable. He was providing moments of magic every other game.
He was. I remember watching the Arsenal game the other night, and he literally just ran the show. Completely ran the show. He was very unlucky to not score on about 2 or 3 occasions. Throw into Man United early on. Patsy Everett. Ryan Giggs playing for Man United there. So you don't realise how long ago these... I remember watching this game in my living room and just going absolutely off my head. But it's 6 years. It's just mad, isn't it? 6 years ago.
It's flown. More than that now, actually.
Yeah, more than that, yeah. But wow, De Silva and Distan. This really was the season for Roberto Martinez, where he came in and he'd added his bit to the attack, and he'd sort of taken on from Moyes' defence, hadn't he? And he didn't really have to do much to the defence. He had a solid partnership for most of the season with Jagielka and Distan. Obviously, Stones coming in added to it, because he, again, a little bit like Barkley, he had that confidence, he had that sort of, I've got nothing to lose about him. And then when Distan was sort of coming towards the end of his career, and it became quite apparent that obviously Stones was looking elsewhere, I think that's when it sort of fell to bits a little bit for Roberto Martinez.
Yeah, I think Stones is still having the same problems now that he did in those later Martinez seasons, where I don't think he's physically imposing enough.
No.
Obviously, the technical side of things and the confidence is a big part of his game. But if he's lacking in confidence, you're in for a real hard time with John Stones if he doesn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't got that sort of physicality.
Yeah. No, I agree. Would you take him back?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
To be honest with you, I mean, he was really good in his first couple of seasons with us, but not so much that I'd pay big money to have him back. I think there's so much more better value out there than
I agree.
Paying for a guy who's now known as a player who failed really at Manchester City despite all the club success that he's had. He's never really kicked on since he left, and that was, there's how quick time passes. That's going to be 4 years ago in the summer that he left Everton.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. I remember him getting screamed at in a petrol station and crying in a petrol station and all of that. That's when it all sort of fell to bits, wasn't it?
Yeah, your rat, everyone was calling him a rat up in Barnsley.
Yeah, I remember that. But so are you happy with the defence as it is now, with assuming it'll be Holgate next to either Mina or Keane, or would you want to bring another centre half in? And if so, would you want to see a centre half go?
I'd bring in another centre back, preferably a left side one. I think if you've been watching any of our shows lately, we've been heavily linked with that Gabriel. And I mean, I did a show with Jeremy Smith, who's a French football expert of sorts, and he's very keen on. He thinks he's a very good centre back. So if we could add him in, maybe alongside Holgate or Mina, and I'd probably sell Michael Keane if we were to bring a new defender in.
Nah, he'd be the one as well. And it's one of them things, I spoke about it myself on Friday. It's one of those situations in it where, we're going to have to sell in the summer if we're going to bring players in, and it means that realistically the players that just aren't good enough, your likes of your Michael Keane, maybe your Schneidlin, even though I think he's done okay, possibly Sigurdsson, we're going to have to, Walcott, we're going to have to sort of make way with those players, because we can't just go out there and bring 4 or 5 players in without selling anybody, because we simply wouldn't be able to do it.
But it needs to be the more, like you say, the more inconsistent performers who are sold as opposed to key players.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I wouldn't be...
We can't be doing another 2017 where we sell Lukaku and then have to replace him along with bringing the players in that we want. And obviously that went horrifically, so
no, I agree.
We'll gloss over the summer of 2017. That was absolutely
dreadful.
Disastrous.
Dreadful. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think the players that are on form at the minute are happy at the club. Obviously, we've seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Mason Holgate sign contracts recently, and
Richarlison,
as well. And at times, especially in football, there would have been an argument for players signing contracts just simply to boost their transfer fee or to boost their opportunity to leave. But I really think with those 3 players, I really think they're happy where they are. And if we can keep them happy and keep them content and then add players around them, specifically leaders who can guide them, because they're still all very, very young, of course, then I think we'll be doing well. I looked at the Everton calendar, official Everton calendar, you know, the one where they're all wearing suits for this season. Yeah. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's down as a midfielder. So,
really?
He's down as a midfielder for some reason. I don't know why. But we bought him as a midfielder, didn't we? So, I suppose.
It tells you a lot about like how times change. I think I remember Calvert-Lewin playing at wing back under Ronald Koeman.
Right wing back.
They're saying that's summer of 17.
Yeah, I think we can gloss over that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to gloss over this phone ringing again. I thought I'll put it on silent.
Oh God, no worries, mate. No worries. So throw in there. Taking, I think it's Raphael, is it? Right back, Valencia. Man United having a little bit of the possession here. They did sort of come at us a little bit early on. I think they took the big stance of, where the big I am here. But I think they probably guilty of underestimating us. McCarthy, great surging run there through the midfield. Lukaku's got it, can't quite get it under his feet. Gets the shot away though, and does get a corner for Everton. Really good play by James McCarthy there, picking the ball up and driving. That's not something we see a lot nowadays, a midfielder picking the ball up and the only thing in their mind is let me drive forward. James McCarthy, what a player he was as well. Shame that injuries sort of tainted his career a little bit at Everton, because I thought he was fantastic on his day.
He was unbelievable in his first couple of years here.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, I think that's something we really missed at the moment, is having a midfielder who can bomb it through the middle. Yeah. Ross Barkley as well, he was another one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think that's a mix of the quality that we've got and the confidence of those players. I don't think Gylfi Sigurdsson could steamroll through a midfield, definitely not more than twice a game, because he'd be goosed. I don't think we have that creativity. I don't think we have that creative player in midfield who will just pick the ball up and have the confidence to just go, I'm going to run here, I'm going to run at the opposition, and I'm not going to stop until somebody stops me. And we've seen that a lot, like you said, from Ross Barkley, from James McCarthy.
And Morales here with this shot.
Another good effort.
Stinger, that one.
Another good effort, was it? He obviously couldn't quite catch that like he'd wanted to, the guy there, but yeah, no, again, you're spot on about the Morales thing. I think he had a lot of seasons at Everton where he was sort of hot and cold and inconsistent, and some games he'd be fantastic and other games he wouldn't turn up, but this was definitely his most consistent season in a blue shirt. He was near enough fantastic every time he played. Stephen Pienaar to take the corner. What a throwback, what a player. Ball comes in, headed back, not too sure who that was. United clear. It's mad watching this game, because this was, like you said, 7 years ago now, and you watch it and you think, we still haven't really replaced Lukaku. We haven't properly replaced Ross Barkley. We haven't properly replaced Stephen Pienaar, and there's so many players in key positions that you look at and think,
we're worse now than we were then.
We simply haven't replaced. I mean, obviously Leighton Baines and Luca Dean's come in, etc. Seamus Coleman's still there, but we haven't had anybody of the quality of the skill of Stephen Pienaar or Kevin Morales on his day. We haven't had anybody with the willingness to drive like Ross Barkley, and the confidence, and the out and out striker like Lukaku. And I love Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and I think they're doing fantastically this season. But unless they've got those players around them that are creating, they're not. I definitely don't think Dom's an out and out natural goal scorer. And I think Dom would do fantastically well with players around him that are creating for him. I read a stat on my stream yesterday. Our highest goal scorer this season, other than those two, is Bernard on 3. And I personally thought that's worrying. That's badly worrying.
Yeah, our midfield don't contribute enough in any way, shape or form, be it goals, assists.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I think I saw a rumour about Bernard possibly going to Roma earlier on this week, and I'm not sure what your take is on that.
I think, I really like Bernard. I think Bernard's a very good player, and I think Bernard has got something that we don't have in the squad. He's got that technical ability for a start. He's got a lot of pace, and he's got that skill, and he's got that sort of, FIFA would probably call it, if we were comparing it to FIFA, that special something. That's something that will catch a lot of players out, whether it be his first touch, whether it be his, I think it's his footballing brain matches his ability, and he is fantastic on the ball, and he's, when he's on his game, he's fantastic. And the goals he scored this season, watch back the goals he scored this season. The one against West Ham, ball comes in, one against West Ham, he gets one-on-one with the goalkeeper, turns around, takes everyone on again, scores. Palace, just before the break, ball comes in and he volleys it coolly as you like. And the Watford goal is fantastic as well. I just think Bernard needs to be a bit more consistent for me. I'd be wanting at 7 to 10 goals a season minimum from Bernard. I don't think 3 is enough. Same with assists.
Not for an attacking winger, no.
No, exactly. And when you look at his quality and when you look at his ability, you think you should, because there's times when Bernard gets in fantastic opportunities, but he doesn't want to shoot. He wants to lay it off, or he wants to get in a better opportunity. And you think, we've seen at Shakhtar so many times where he'd have the ball on the edge of the box. The goal against Manchester City in the Champions League a couple of years ago, and he just hit it. And he can hit a ball. He can hit a ball. So I don't know whether that's just a confidence thing, but I wouldn't be. Don't get me wrong. If someone come in with silly money for Bernard, then you'd have to look at it and weigh it up and go, what can we bring in for this money, and would they be better for the team than Bernard is? But he wouldn't be on my list of players to sell. I'd just be demanding more from him every week, personally. What do you think? You a fan?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm just concerned, like you say, about the lack of output.
Yeah.
If he's, like you say, he's got such a great brain on him, I think he's got the best football brain out of anyone in our team, to be honest with you, but he needs to start contributing. If it's not goals, it needs to be more assists.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's the issue we've got here. You're looking at this team. This team is a very creative team, despite it still had flaws. But some of these players, they could put the ball on a sixpence for the striker. Like, even the likes of Gareth Barry, I think we miss a player like that.
Yeah, just that calm, cool. And I think a lot of Evertonians in the summer sort of felt like Fabian Delph was going to be a little bit like a Gareth Barry-esque sign, and he was going to come in. Yeah, I did as well. He was going to come in. I was made up. In the summer, I was in Mexico when we signed him, and I thought, boss, he's going to be like Gareth Barry. He's not going to do anything that you blows your skirt up, but he'll do the basics, and that's exactly what we need. And obviously, it hasn't gone like that for Delph. Don't get me wrong, he's not been awful, but he's not been anywhere near as good as Gareth Barry was. And I remember, was it Barry's debut, or it was definitely one of his first games against Chelsea, and he made that latch-this tackle against Eto.
Yeah, that was his very first game for us.
And from that point, you knew, he mightn't be at his peak of age, and he mightn't be able to run the length of the pitch. But one thing we knew Gareth Barry could do is he could do that defensive midfield role like nobody else. And he was really good on the ball technically. And
yeah, there he was, just pinging the ball over to Oviedo there now as we speak.
Exactly, and he could hit a ball as well, Gareth Barry. He could hit a ball, and he scored a couple for us from outside the box, and just, putting it straight in the back of the net, and that's what you want to see, innit? From your defensive midfielder. And obviously, what a ball that is, what a ball that was. I think I'm a little bit behind you, but what a ball. And then obviously Garner come in, and Garner's done a fantastic job, an absolute workhorse, and again, another player in the summer that we all knew we'd miss, but I think they're bringing Gabaman in, and it's not, obviously that's, Gabaman's been injured for the majority of the season, but pretty much all of the season. I think that's not, it's not helped the cause this season, because it's very, very clear that, Schneiderlin, Sigurdsson, Davis, and I really, really like Andre Gomes, but I don't think he can do that role that Garner done. He doesn't do enough running. I don't think he's got the energy to do it. But Gbamin will be like a new signing in the summer in many ways. United this time with a clever little foul there, pulling Welbeck, was it?
Welbeck down, yeah.
Down. United coming back on the attack there. Ball not made of the ball. Who's down in the middle of the park? There's James McCarthy. No, it's not. United with an opportunity. Rooney, good save by Tim Howard. Fantastic save by Tim Howard. And it goes out. But yeah, I think Gbamin in the summer, or whenever football starts back up, obviously just talking peanut it is. Just talking generally, I think, he could come in and he could be like a new signing and be a breath of fresh air, and Carlo Ancelotti might, halfway through the transfer window in a pre-season, let's say for argument's sake, if it was to go as it would usually go, taken away from this whole pandemic sort of stuff, because we don't know what's going to happen, he might halfway through a pre-season go, you know what, Jean-Philippe Gbamin can do that role as good as anyone else, so I don't need to bring in a defensive midfielder. But again, we're not going to know that, are we? It's mad what's happened with Gbamin.
That's it, I think. It's a shame about Gbamin, because I was really looking forward to seeing what he could bring to the table, but obviously the roles are different now compared to he was signing for Marco Silva, who played a different formation to what Ancelotti's playing, so there might not be a place for whatever role he was meant to play now, so this is what happens when you change the manager a lot, and you've got to accept that you're going into different seasons looking for different types of players to fit the system that the new manager wants.
And that's why notoriously, obviously, in football, all the pundits and everybody's so big on keeping your manager, even if they're not doing very well, keeping them and giving them as much time as possible. And that's why I'm happy we've got Ancelotti, because I know now that
we'll all back him.
We'll all back him.
No one's going to want him, sir.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And for the start, like you said, every Evertonian is going to be, till the day he fucking leaves, keep him in the job, keep him here, do whatever you can. But I also think it's positive, because we probably will go through a couple of bad times under him, and it's important that we stay under him, and we know that if this project that the board talk about of playing in the Champions League and challenging for the Premier League, if it's going to work under anyone, it's going to work under Carlo Ancelotti. And if Carlo Ancelotti can't get this group of players, or the group of players he brings in, playing, then I honestly don't know who will. So we've finally got that manager that we know and we can trust, has got the experience, has been there, has done it. And you see pictures of, if you see a picture of an AC Milan team, a Real Madrid team with the Toffee, Carlo Ancelotti's there. Chelsea, Carlo Ancelotti's there. So it's obviously it's fantastic to bring him in, and like you said, I was wondering with Gbamin last week actually, the potential of maybe Gbamin fitting in as a centre half, and maybe Mason being pushed up in the centre midfield. What do you think about Holgate in midfield? Do you like that idea, or just sort of?
Yeah, that's it. I really do. I think when he's been asked to do that job, he's done it brilliantly.
Yeah, I agree. And
like you say, he's got that energy that maybe we haven't had since Ganna left.
Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't actually be opposed as to bringing another centre half in and pushing Holgate into midfield, because he's got something that none of our midfield have got. Like you said, the energy, the confidence, he's got the strength.
I think he's more composed than even Idrissa Gueye was as well. I think he's better on the ball than Ganna is as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd be up for that, and maybe Gbamin coming in. Maybe Carlo Ancelotti might see Gbamin as that centre half who could potentially slot in and save a sign. And I don't know. I don't know. It'd be very easy for Ancelotti, I think, to sell Gbamin on and just say I never seen him playing, and we'll just start again with it. But I hope for his sake he gets the proper opportunity he deserves.
I think he will, because I think as the latter stages of the season before we went into lockdown suggested, I think Ancelotti was rotating a lot. I think he wanted to assess a lot of his current squad to see what he can keep and what he wants to get rid of. And I think in the same way, when Gbamin's fit, I think he will get his chance to prove himself.
I hope so. I do hope so, because he deserves it at the end of the day. He's had two bad injuries, and it's not, one bad injury and then it reoccurred, and obviously it's not his fault, and I'm sure you'll find out a little bit later when you play a little bit more FIFA 20. He's absolutely unbelievable on FIFA 20, mate. So if you play that, stick him. Yeah. He's like Garner, but in real life, but just stronger and more pace. He's absolutely fantastic.
Oh well, I'm not gonna argue with that. As long as he comes back from injury and does the business for us, I'm not gonna.
If he can play
complain.
anywhere near like he does on FIFA for us in real life, then I think that position's pretty much solidified.
Yeah, it's Ross Barkley at his best here. Shrugging off challenges and
winning the fouls as well. That's something Ross used to do an awful lot. And Arteta used to do it at Everton. He'd take players on.
Arteta was brilliant with
he'd
it.
Take players on, and then once he realised he wasn't going to get past, he'd just win a foul. Coleman there.
Yeah, it was good little 1-2 there as well.
Seamus, obviously, I've just noticed as well, he actually passed the ball to Barkley a couple of seconds ago and he ran straight into the middle of the park, and it just shows, obviously, Seamus at the peak of his fitness, he was able to get around the pitch an awful lot, whereas now you do see him a little bit, touch tight, which is understandable. Again, another player that's career's been, I wouldn't say massively tainted because he's had a fantastic career and I think he'll go down as an Everton legend, but it's definitely, it's took its toll, I think, especially that leg break.
Oh, look on this from Lukaku here.
Oh, unbelievable. Shrugs everyone off.
Still going. Someone got to get that on the edge there.
What a player! Again, when he ran with the ball, no one was barging him off it. No one was stronger than Lukaku on the pitch.
I think he made a massive. I mean, I understand why at the time, but I think he made a mistake leaving Everton. I don't think, or he's maybe not leaving Everton, but certainly going to Man United.
Yeah, United at the time, they
weren't much better than we were.
And I still don't think they are, but the one thing that United do, and I think they do it really well, and their fans will probably disagree and they'll probably argue with it, but I think United's board and United's PR team do a very good job of selling Man United in the summer and in January. They sell it off as if they're still the Premier League winning, Champions League fighting side, and players just get attracted to that and want to go to that and think that they're going to a Man United team that are challenging for the title, but every season since Alex Ferguson left, they've been in and around winning.
They've been within about 5 or 10 points of us, one way or another.
Exactly. They had that season where they come second under Mourinho, but I mean, they were about 49 million points away from top, and there was like 3-4 teams that could have finished second in that season. It went down to the very end. But yeah,
Oh, clattered.
Wayne
Rooney just got clattered by someone there.
I think was that Gareth Barry or Jane? No, I don't know. That's another thing we've seen in the Arsenal. Sorry, I'll keep referring to the Arsenal game, but obviously it was around this time as well. Players flying into tackles. Stephen Naismith flying into tackles. Ross Barkley flying into tackles. I've only seen that once this season, and it was Richarlison, who, I don't know if you remember it, against Palace, and he just went both feet off the air, scissor chopped it. He didn't catch anyone, but if he'd have caught someone, it'd have been a straight red. But players getting involved, barging players out the way, having that bit of, you know what, you're not going to push me over and I'm going to stand up against you. And I think that's what got us, a lot through the season. Don't forget, by the way, if you're not watching, if you're wondering where did he watching this game, how are they watching it, where's it from, go down to the description, the Football here link, click on that link. I think it's also in the live chat as well of the YouTube stream. Click on that, make an account. It literally only takes a couple of seconds to make an account. Email, password, bish bosh. You'll get a confirmation email. You click that, and then you put in a couple of details: name, date of birth, nickname, all of that. And then go on to the search bar, switch it from players to clubs, type in Everton, and then this game's on the 3rd page, and you can literally just click it and watch it as we're doing and follow along. We're about 23 minutes in now, if you're wondering. Still 0-0, obviously. A little bit end-to-end, I'd probably say, at the moment. Everton doing well, but Man United are breaking forward and are having a little bit of the possession. So go down in the description, go and click that link, get involved with the game as well, and watch along what was obviously a very historical night for the football club. Don't forget to hit the like button on the stream as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and share it all over social media as well. Let's get as many people in here as possible, because we've not had many games over the last however many years where we've challenged the top 6 away from home. So let's relive one of them in fashion. Giggs going close with an header there. Man United the champions in this season. They were, because this was the after Alex Ferguson left. Who won the league this season then? Was it Chelsea? Can't quite remember.
Man City. This was the season Gerrard slipped.
It was, yeah. Oh, it was, yeah, because it was Liverpool and Chelsea were in the race, and then City were just a bit behind, and then they come back and won it, didn't they? It was the season Gerrard slipped, yeah. Season Ross Barkley hit a free kick from about 40 yards against Swansea as well with a skinhead. I remember that. Had his mark.
Then he scored that goal against City, who Liverpool wanted us to stop them winning the league or something. And
yeah. Wait.
I remember the ground being like proper eerie because like everyone was like, "What are we cheering here?"
Literally, and it was one of the best goals I've ever witnessed at Goodison Park. The turn and the finish was just unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, go and watch that Ross Barkley goal against Manchester City. Whatever you think about Ross Barkley, he could hit a ball, and on his day, he was a fantastic player. Even if we don't necessarily like him an awful lot now, but yeah, that was it was a mad thingy, that wasn't it?
It was a really like awkward game. Like I just didn't know what to think, and I remember Lukaku's goal going in, and like everyone was just like, "Now what?"
Yeah, what do we do?
Because like the momentum was with us then, and like everyone was like, "Do we cheer when we attack or?"
That's it. And any other day as well, any other game, that Barkley goal would have been like fucking celebrated to the ground, and they'd be turned upside down. It'd been remembered for ages. But there was that instant joy, and then there was that little bit of, should we actually be cheering here? What are we helping them a bit? And then, but
no, well, I think that goal, I think the fact that it was celebrated like that, it kind of sums up Barkley's career at Everton a little bit, like the instant joy followed by the sort of awkwardness about it all, I think.
Spot on.
And obviously the quite awkward departure, that's for sure.
On. And I still wonder to this day about Ross Barkley and why he left in that manner. And obviously there's a lot of rumours about it, more so being about his lifestyle outside of football than the actual club itself. And obviously we've seen all the videos of the trouble in town and stuff, but I just think it was dead mad how we had the opportunity to go for 30 million in the summer, and I think a lot of Evertonians at that point have gone, you know what, it's disappointing. Lukaku barging down the wing here.
Took him right out there.
Disgrace. You know, I think a lot of us were like, if you'd have gone in the summer for 30 million, it'd have been a little bit shit, don't get me wrong, but we'd have been like, you know what, whatever, do what you've got to do.
Fair enough.
But it was just the way he went about it, it was just very like...
Ran his contract down, went on the cheap and stuff.
It was just very much like, what was the point in that? What was the need? It was almost like a go at the club.
Like a stab us in the back, really.
When he could...
I mean...
Go on.
I think, can we all just take a moment to remember the time when Joe Anderson called the police on Ross Barkley?
What a guy. He comes back for somebody that, again, reportedly, arguably, you know, whatever you want to call it, left the city because of issues in the city with people. He comes back an awful lot when he's got free time, and he comes back with all of these nights out and stuff like that. He's not afraid to step back in. But again, after he left as well, there was interviews where he was having a go at certain people and have a go at certain structures and stuff like that, and it was all very sour. I think he lost his head a little bit, and I mean, he wasn't the...
To be honest with you, I can understand them having a go at the club at that time. It was being run absolutely horrifically.
Yeah.
This was like when Allardyce had been appointed, Walsh was still the sporting director, and Elston was still there. There was a lot of like sort of toxic people still at the club at the time, so I can well understand that. I would like to think things have improved in the last 2 years, so
I think
hopefully things like that won't happen again.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Branton's coming in as a massive improvement. Ancelotti speaks for himself. I think Denise Barrett-Baxendale as well is a good...
She's been handling this brilliantly, by the way. The whole lockdown, the initiative.
Getting involved herself, not like, you know, Elstone or previous members of the board who just sit back and not get involved. She's been involved. She's been calling fans. She sits
at the game with Kenwright and Brands and that, so like she's not like
just in for the
she's not like shaking her duties or anything. I think she's setting a far better example in a year and a half than Elston did beforehand. Anyway,
spot on. And I think we are moving forward, and you know, there's a lot of things we need to sort on the pitch, but I think we've got the right man to do it. Managerial wise, I still believe Marcel Brands will pull through. I think Marcel Brands is very, very good at picking young, talented players. We've seen it with Moyes Keane, and although Moyes Keane hasn't had, you know, the best of season or the season we would have probably hoped for, I still think he's one of the best young players in world football. Obviously, you know, Richarlison coming in, which at the time 50 million, everybody was like, what, he's only, you know, he hadn't scored in half a season for Watford. He's come in, he's been arguably our best player since he come in. I just think we need to add a little bit of couple of experienced players, and by that I don't mean your Fabian Delphs, or just somebody in there for the sake of them being there. I mean players that are actually going to give something positive to the team, but also have that experience that, you know, is needed to go to sides like United at Old Trafford and not think, oh my god, it's Man United at Old Trafford, do you know what I mean? And City similar. Oh, at the post, and Howard gets it out.
Rooney.
He loved the goal against Everton, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, there's Barkley winning a free kick again there.
He had Fellaini off this entire game, didn't he? Because he knew to just stand there and he'd get barged into and he'd be able to just... That
was Fellaini's game, wasn't it? It was just roughhousing people.
Literally. And a lot of players would be scared and would be a little bit hesitant. But, you know, Ross done fantastically in this game to just stand up to it and go, you know what? And obvious reasons.
Oh, Oviedo there as well. Just left and right on the day.
Big, strong challenges. That's what you like to see. Big, strong challenges.
I feel like football's become, even in the last 6 or 7 years since this game, I think football's become too sterilised. Yeah. I think there's fouls being given for the most basic 50-50s and
situations where there's yellow cards given out now for perfectly good tackles. And
I think it's just the state of the referee. And I mean, even looking back then, I know Atkinson, I know we're no fans of most referees, but I'd say the referees in general back then were probably better than the fleet of referees we've got now.
I think...
certainly 10, 15 years ago, the referees were better than what we've got now.
100%. I think the referees at this moment, I honestly believe they're the poorest in Europe in terms of the top leagues. I really, really...
Yeah, I mean...
You know, they brought for you...
Let's not forget that at the start of the last decade, Howard Webb was picked to referee the World Cup final. I mean... Nowadays, we're not even getting any referees sent to the World Cup.
Because you know how poor they are, and again, it's, you know, VAR's obviously been a massive talking point this season. Bloody hell, we haven't spoken about VAR for a while, have we? That's where...
That's the beauty of lockdown, mate. Forget about the harsh realities of VAR.
But even that's, you know, that time of this season, the Brighton game for me was just absolutely ridiculous.
Farcical.
Absolutely ridiculous. And I you know... I do question whether some things are done on purpose or some, you know, rather than being, you know, mistake, if you like. And that was one of them where I just thought, Michael Keane's not even looking at the player for the start, and it's the slightest touch. And I
think that's the thing. I think if you were wondering why English refs weren't being taken, look at that one. That would have been given by the VAR as a handball there by Jags.
It would, yeah. Got away with one there.
Definitely.
And then Seamus gets it out. Look.
Oh, we are. Quick break. Oh. Over it there, Tim Howard, didn't he?
Timmy. Little bit too...
This was his first season sporting the big beard, wasn't it?
Beard, yeah. And then he kept it, didn't he? Do you know what's iconic about this season is it was the first and only season we had that horrific badge. And everyone still goes, oh, that badge, it's horrible, remember that badge. And I look at it and think, it wasn't great, but honestly, whenever I see that badge, I just think we were boss. We were absolutely
You were good
boss.
that season. Yeah. But can't we just have a crap badge again? We might win the league.
And people rip into it and go, oh, never have that badge back. But I always think, if you said to me you get that badge back, but you get the form you have from that badge, snap it off your hand any day of the week. It was a shocking badge, don't get me wrong, but we were demolishing teams week in, week out.
That is his hand twice there. There's no way VAR would have not gone over that and given a pen.
Definitely not against Man United at Old Trafford.
Well, this is it. This is exactly what I'm on about. Like, those kind of nitty gritty things are being picked out and like overanalyzed, and
that's it.
I mean, like I say, I think it tells you all you need to know about the state of English referees. Obviously, there was why aren't English refs being taken to the World Cup or the Euros, and then you see the way the European leagues, Germany and Spain and whatnot, are utilising VAR. And then you look at how we're doing it. And that's why they're not getting taken, because the referees on the continent are far more competent than ours are.
Definitely, 100%. And for me, it's the inconsistencies that do my head in with VAR. If every handball, if every foul, if every situation was given as a penalty or, you know, offside, you'd go, you know, it's dreadful and the game's gone to shit for it, but they're giving them consistently week in, week out. But, you know, you look at the one against Brighton that went against us, for example, and then you look at the Theo Walcott one, Goodison Park, can't remember who we were playing, but Theo gets his arm dragged back and no penalties given whatsoever. There's been, opportunity. There's been other times when our players have been taken out in the box. Sigurdsson against Man United, I know he has the shot ultimately, but he gets absolutely wiped out, completely off the ball. And if he doesn't get, the irony is, if he doesn't get wiped out, he's not lying on the floor when Calvert-Lewin hits that shot. And we win the game fair and square, and I still think we won that game fair and square anyway. But
we're still that Walcott game you're on about. That was the Tottenham game, wasn't it, at Goodison? And we were denied a lot of fouls. And you're thinking, if the Spurs players keep thinking they can get away with these kind of fouls, they carry on doing them. And maybe if the ref went down harder on that, maybe it stops Andre Gomez breaking his ankle.
And still in that situation, I mean, you could scream accident all you like, but the fact that no Spurs player took a suspension or anything from that situation is baffling. Now, don't get me wrong, Son doesn't do the final, challenge, whatever, but Son makes the initial challenge purely out of revenge because Andre Gomez has him off about 20 seconds earlier. And then Aurier comes in and they both sort of got away with it. And you're spot on. If players think they can get away with it, they'll get away with it and they'll carry on doing it because it adds pressure to the opposition team, it takes the opposition team down and it wears them out. So whereas if referees stamp down on that, I've never seen a more blatant penalty. I sit in the park week in, week out. I've never seen a more blatant penalty before my eyes than that Walcott situation. And if he goes down, I still think to this day, we get it. Because he's clearly being impeded. But I don't know how a player can be ragged back and a penalty not be given. And sometimes I do look at it and I do think if that was at the other end and that was Harry Kane being ragged or Son being ragged, I think they give it up.
Absolutely.
All day.
And you're saying, I'm saying players are going in hard, on our players. I think that's why we don't snap into challenges perhaps the way we used to, because I think the refs are constantly giving free kicks against us. I might sound really petty here, but I just think there is a club bias.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. And you say these when we say these things, and I think us as Evertonians, we are the one fan base, I'd say, especially across the Premier League, who ultimately all agree that there's definitely some sort of bias or agenda against Everton. The referees just don't like Everton. I can't remember the last. In fact, Chris Kavanagh at Anfield, the season that Pickford threw in his own net, was probably the last decent refereeing performance I've seen from a referee that stood up.
And he went and undid all that in the last game against United.
Exactly, and he refereed us since the derby and being shocking. And for me, it's no coincidence week in, week out that we get referees that are given decisions against us, like the Walcott penalty, like the Keane penalty situation, like the various other times that we've been fouled and it's not being given. And like I said, I think we're the one fan base that collectively all agree there's something going on here, something's not right for some reason or another. And it's horrible. It really is horrible because the Man United game was a big one for me last time out at Goodison Park because the sheer emotion and the sheer energy that got through Goodison Park, that come through Goodison Park after that Calvert-Lewin goal went in was unmatched. I haven't seen Goodison Park react like that to a goal in years, and I wasn't at the game against Leicester, the cup game when Leighton Baines scored. I was at a pantomime, so it was probably similar then, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I haven't seen that type of energy at Goodison Park personally for years, where we've scored the last minute goal and the players were screaming, Richarlison was fucking running around made up, the fans were all on, and then for it to get disallowed by VAR, that's one thing, and then for you to look at it again and go, there's, for me personally, I think that it would have been given again, like you said. It would have been given if it was the other way round. It would have been he wasn't impeding the play, he wasn't impeding the art of the vision of the keeper. It would have been given if that was Man United scoring the last minute winner at Goodison Park. I just don't see any way in which it's disallowed.
It's disallowed. I just don't see it. And an interesting thing I think is I was watching. Obviously, we're watching this game back now, and there's not really a lot going on here, but I'm going back here I watched an old game from 2002 with Everton. And we were pretty rubbish then, to be honest with you. We had players like Scott Gemmell and all that, but the thing is, the game was just full of people throwing tackles in, and you saw how the atmosphere at Goodison then was a lot better than it is now, even though the team was absolutely awful.
Yeah, and we got a lot of results based off that. based off the team not being great, but the fans being great.
But the fans were great because the team threw those kind of tackles in, and I'm worried that the players nowadays, obviously the atmosphere is not as good, and I think the players are scared to put them kind of tackles in now because the refs are so against us.
I agree, and I honestly think at a Goodison Park that is full of 40,000 Evertonians screaming and shouting. We seen it at the Chelsea game, Duncan Ferguson's first game in charge. I honestly believe, certainly in the Premier League, you could have put any side in front of us on that day and would have beat them. There's questions about Liverpool, obviously, with the derby stuff, but I honestly believe we'd have beat any side in the Premier League on that day because the fans were up for it, the manager was on the sideline with the passion, and you're right, we just don't see that enough. You wouldn't see that on a Wednesday night against Newcastle or a Friday night against Bournemouth because the players can't throw them challenges in now because they'll be impeded, and all it takes is a Tom Davis or a Morgan Schneiderlin to throw one of those tackles in first 5 minutes. What it would have been called 15 years ago was letting the player know you're there and starting that atmosphere and starting that sort of fear of the opposition and that mentality of the club. Now you get yellow carded and you can't touch a player for the rest of the game then.
And that's it, yeah, that's precisely my point, because back then, like you say, those tackles are flying, and maybe you get a foul given against you, granted, but all it'd be a word off the ref, you put the one finger up, that's my first one, but nowadays the refs are just trying to nip it in the bud, and I think that destroys the sort of bear pit atmosphere that Goodison became known for. Oh, look at Lukaku's strength here. Oh, look at that, he's given a foul for that.
Unbelievable. I think I'm a little bit behind. I've just seen Ross Barkley hit one over the bar.
Yeah, I'm just ahead of you, I think. But yeah, watch this for... Again, that's...
Oviedo. Big Rom. What a player. What an absolute... Again, it's something so silly, but when he had his dreads, he was just unstoppable, wasn't he? I remember him cutting them off and just thinking, he still looked decent, but please keep the performances up. But I remember his debut against West Ham. And just coming on and just knocking himself out, scoring the winner. That's the type of player. If Carlo Ancelotti is to ask an Evertonian to name a type of player you'd want, that is how I would describe it. A player that will literally knock themselves out to score a goal for Everton or to deny a goal for Everton. James McCarthy broke his own leg to deny a goal. Leon Osman, I can't count the amount of times Leon Osman hurt himself, injuring himself, throwing himself into headers that, to win. He scored so many headed goals for a player of his height because he put his head in places that no one else would.
I was at a game in 2011, I think the one he scored that header against Man City where he clashed heads with Company, scoring he scored a header from about 20 yards and I don't know how he managed to get it in. It was
mad. Again, another criminally underrated player for me. Criminally underrated Everton player.
No, he was a very neat and tidy player, wasn't he?
And he could hit a ball as well.
But again, he had that grit as well.
He could hit a ball, very underrated. Got one calf for England or something, but his ability and his efforts, and again in this season when we had players like Osman and Naismith on the bench, he'd come on, give it 110%, and they were effective as well. Naismith could score, Osman could score.
There was goals from all over this team. Oviedo, people like Coleman, right back. Yeah, I know. But the likes of Coleman getting in the box and getting goals, Baines with the free kicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single player in the starting 11, save for maybe Tim Howard, but even then, he had a goal in him.
He did. He had a little 70-odd yard of wind one. I remember that game as well. We got beat that game, didn't we, against Bolton? He scored that, and then Gary Cahill scored twice, I think, if I remember correctly.
That's unbelievable.
From midfield.
Oh, poor ball from Barkley there.
No Ross. Big Bryan again. Look at all the space and time he had there as well, and that'd have been at Lukaku's feet. That's 1-0 straight away. We're off wheeling into.
Yeah, Lukaku getting the ball in that kind of position, you knew it was going in.
He did. His strikes simply had too much behind him for anybody to stop. If he put his entire body strength behind a ball, striking it, if you were saving it, you would end up in the back of the goal with the ball. But yeah, don't forget, if you want to watch along with us, we're just coming up to half time, around about 42 minutes. You can still watch along. Go down to the description, download, or click on the link to the Footballia website. Create an account, literally takes a couple of minutes or so. Email address, password, confirm your email, a couple of details, and then search for Everton. Is that another one at the post there, or Tim gets it just from Rooney?
Gone through everyone's legs, and then Oviedo pretty much gifts it to.
Literally, yeah. What an assist that would have been. And then Tim catches it. But yeah, like I said, go over to the Footballia website, create an account, search for Everton, and then this game is on the third page. Obviously, Manchester United versus Everton, 4th of December 2013. We all know what happened, but we're here to watch along one of the most memorable games in that season, in a season that had a lot of memorable games. So if you're enjoying the team as well, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, get it shared as well all over your social medias. Let's get as many people in here as possible to talk about this game, because we haven't had many nights since then. It was a Monday night, I believe it was it 8 o'clock kickoff? I can remember.
I can barely remember, to be honest with you.
It was a Monday night, I'm pretty sure, because I remember having school the next morning and just not being able to sleep. Obviously, the famous picture to James's left there come out of this one with Bryan Oviedo on Distan's shoulders. So yeah, go and watch along if you want. If you simply just want to hear us talk about it and everything in general, then that's fine as well. Don't forget to share this team. Let's get as many people in here. Pienaar threading it through. Brian gets on the end of it, another corner. Won a lot of corners in this.
Lovely bit of play, that.
Offside, a lovely bit of play it was.
To be honest, it wasn't much of a spectacle this first half. It was just...
It was quite end-to-end, I think United probably had the clear of chances hitting the post. But, you know, again, we were just a final ball away from you know, magic, really, of Lukaku, like you said. It's one of
them games where watching it at this stage, you think it has got to go up through the gears, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you can also look and thinking it could go to anyone. And I remember thinking at half-time of this game, you know, whilst I think...
It's very evenly balanced.
Definitely. And I remember thinking, I just don't want United to get one and then us just fall to bits and then they go on. But obviously we know that's happened. I must say as well, whilst half-time is approaching, the match is divided into two files. It's not actually on the one file. So if you're watching it on Footballia Live with us and you're looking at it saying that it's only 49 minutes long and it's going to turn off, it will at the first half. As you can see, if you hover over your screen, underneath at the where the timeline is, next to the pause button, there's two little arrows. There's one directly right of the pause button and there's one right of that. If you press the one that's right of that, so the third button, it'll take you into the second clip, which is the second half. Starts about 30 seconds into the second half, and then that's for the rest of the game then. So are we going to pause at half time for a minute and allow people to work that out, or are we going to go straight into it? What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll give it 5 minutes.
Little break.
I can go and do the customary cup of tea, have a wee and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. But I'm sure a lot of us were doing that on the day of the game. Watching Everton away from home, especially in games like this.
No, the amount I drink during a game of football nowadays, watching Everton, I think I must have to go to the toilet on about 3 or 4 separate occasions. I just break the seal eventually.
That's what Everton do to you. That's the stress that...
That is Everton joint. I was saying about that Arsenal game when I had my first pint and raised it up, and like it was absolutely buzzing, and when I wondered the amount that Everton would contribute to my drinking habits.
Literally. Started in the best way, and since then it's
all been downhill since
then, definitely. Ross there getting involved again, throwing his feet up.
Oviedo getting another knock there. I used to love this about Ryan Giggs, Joe, like when games weren't going his way. Yeah. He used to always stare into the distance as if like, what the hell's going on? How dare someone do this?
How dare someone match us? So that is half time, of course, in that game, 0-0. Like you said, we'll pause it for about 5 minutes so we can go and get ready for the second half. The arrow next to the play button or the pause button, there's 2 arrows next to it. The one on the right, click that, it'll take you into the second half. If you want to wait for us. If you want to go ahead and start watching it, start watching it. But we'll probably give it about 5 minutes. 0-0 at half time. Evenly matched game. United had probably the better of the opportunities hitting the post. But Everton have also broken on a couple of occasions well. And just been, you know, that final ball away from potentially going 1-0 up. So half time, not the most entertaining at halves, but definitely evenly balanced at 0-0. There you go. We'll give it 5 then. Let everyone get accustomed, get a cup of tea, go for a wee, break the seal, whatever you need to do.
Get a couple of pints down, you know, whatever it takes.
It's Easter, it's bank holiday tomorrow, and I'm off tomorrow.
Good Friday, yeah.
Good Friday tomorrow. Easter Monday. I finished work at 4 today.
How are you doing for work anyway? With the lockdown?
I work for a company that works with children, young people that are just coming out of care, so sort of supported living from ages 16 to 18, that sort of middleman, supporting them into supported living and stuff like that before they eventually move on and get in their own places. So I work in the head office of the company, so I can work from home. I've got a laptop. My dad's the head of service, so he works in the office. Don't know if you've seen the Everton office. I've done a video on it on my channel a few weeks back it was now. He works up there, and I work down here, so I'm alright just answering emails, doing bits and bobs. I have to go out a couple of times to our houses to provide toilet roll and stuff like that, but I'm alright, mate. I'm alright, keeping myself entertained, to be honest, but I can't wait to wake up late tomorrow and watch Tiger King, because I've got 3 episodes left to watch and I want to just smash it out because I'm obsessed with that as well.
I struggle to get into it myself. It's not really been my cup of tea, to be honest.
I just think it's mad.
I must be the first one.
I just think it's mad. I just think the Americans sometimes, every time I watch a documentary based, Don't F With Cats was another one, a documentary based thing like surrounding the Americans and stuff. I just think these are crazy, aren't they? You wouldn't. That Tiger King story, I don't think you could write that if you tried. If somebody said come up with the most creative, mad story, I don't think you could write what that was. I really don't.
No, I do find some like the American sort of reality stuff is just insane, isn't it?
It is. It's mad. It's mad. I think it's entertaining though. I suppose it's not everyone's cup.
I think that's the Americans like to entertain those, don't they? And like it's always like larger than life. I think that Storage Wars is brilliant, isn't it?
Boss, isn't it? All programs like that and the Gold Digger ones and stuff like that. It's just
was it Gold Rush?
Gold Rush, yeah. There's one Alaskan gold
fishing ones and everything, isn't there?
What's the famous fishing one called?
Deadliest Catch.
That's it, Deadliest Catch. Yeah. They're just entertaining, aren't they? They're entertaining. You think if someone had said to us, 20 years ago before these programs come on telly, would you be interested in watching a program about a load of fishermen catching crabs? You'd probably go, nah, not really, but
nah.
It is.
Do you want to watch people buy old stuff that people didn't want from a storage auction?
Exactly. And then you watch it and you go, oh my... And then the UK have done a Storage Wars and everywhere else has done a Storage Wars now. It's crazy. Suppose we'll have a little look at the live comments then, see what everyone's doing. See what everyone's getting up to before we start the second half. Where are we? Andrew says, I was at that game. What a game it was. I wasn't there myself, but I remember it very, very fondly, of course. Andrew always says, you see what the Echo said about Philip Coutinho. Obviously, there's links between Philip Coutinho and Everton. There's links between everyone and Everton now, isn't there really? James Rodriguez is one that's come up strong in the last 48 hours as well. What do you think about that? Would you take him? Do you think he'd come, firstly? Do you think he'd offer us anything? What do you think about the Coutinho rumours?
I think it's obvious Coutinho would offer us something. I think like you say, he's very similar in a way to Bernard, but with, I think, a better output. That what we've been talking about Bernard, maybe lacking a bit of end product. We know what Coutinho can bring in terms of end product. He's always created and scored goals for the other side of the park before he left the Premier League. So it'd be interesting. I think he'd be the first Everton player to have also played for Liverpool since Nick Barmby. So
which wasn't fantastic, was it? Alex Xavier as well.
Xavier, I don't think neither of them really set Liverpool alight, whereas they did all right for Everton. So maybe it's just a second club. If you move from one club to the other, it doesn't work out.
Maybe.
The last one who probably did was Gary Ablett, who obviously won cups with both of us. So
yeah, maybe. But I think in terms of the player himself, I'd take him. I think as a fan base, we're sort of moving away from this. They've played for Liverpool or they've managed Liverpool. The Rafa Benitez situation was big for me when obviously it was becoming quite apparent that Marco Silva wasn't the man to take us forward. And before Carlo Ancelotti was sacked from Napoli and he was in the question, the front runner in terms of the manager that a lot of Evertonians would have wanted.
The big name one anyway.
The big name one was Rafa Benitez.
They're not Moyes one, basically.
They're not anyone but Moyes or Mark Hughes. And I think when Benitez was sort of rumoured firstly, everybody was like, no, he's Liverpool. But then the more he come out and he spoke about how he'd do a job professionally, because he's a professional and that's what he's there to do. And the more Evertonians sort of looked and went, well, this is the experience he's got. He's won Champions Leagues. He's won multiple competitions. Maybe we just forget about the fact he's left Liverpool, and maybe we'll just think, you know what, if he's the best man for the job, I'm always the best man for the job gets it. I am, and that's why I made up at Carlo Ancelotti got it, because he was the best man for the job.
Ancelotti was the best.
Exactly, and I think Coutinho's a little bit similar. If Coutinho was to come and just say, you know what, I'm not even worrying about Liverpool. Didn't grow up a Liverpool supporter. I play for them. I'm very grateful for them. I'm not against them, but I'm at Everton now, so I'm going to get my head down. I'm going to settle and I'm going to work hard. And when we play the derbies, I'm an Everton player and I want to win for Everton. I think I'd take him. I would take him, because I think if Philip Coutinho hadn't played for Liverpool and he was being rumoured to Everton, every Evertonian would take him. If his Premier League career had been at Chelsea, there wouldn't even be a question around it. So I think that's what we have to think about.
I think the difference with the whole Benitez thing, I was absolutely not with Benitez, and it's not necessarily because he was an ex-Liverpool manager, because if it was, say, another top ex-Liverpool manager, like, I don't know, like say Brendan Rodgers or Houllier or somebody else, if it was any of them that had still gone and they were better than everyone else, I'd go, yeah, I'd take them. I think it was the whole small club comments what made me not want Benitez. If he disrespects the club like that, why should we ever let him be in charge of our club?
Yeah, no, it's spot on. I completely understand, and that's obviously where the Coutinho's...
I think that's what swings it for me. But Coutinho, as far as I'm concerned, never insulted the club publicly. So
and
from that perspective, I would.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's a player.
That's it. He's a player, and there's not much loyalty in the game at the moment.
Unfortunately.
There's not, unfortunately. Where are we? Let's get back involved. John says he's a lemon. I assume that's meant to say meringue. Not too sure who's a lemon meringue. Oh, Alcaraz, I assume that's talking about. Everton.
Yeah, Alcaraz is a lemon meringue.
Hello guys, how are you? I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. Up the F and Toffee says Oviedo, baby, Oviedo. Oh, what a song as well. What a song that was. What a song.
If you think about it, this game actually spawned a lot of great songs, didn't it?
It did.
I can't imagine how good it must have been to be on the coaches coming back after this one.
Exactly, and in the stands, at that point, Andrew saying before that he was at the game, I can't imagine how the atmosphere, especially, scoring so late on as well, or did we not? I think it was fantastic, wasn't it? And it was away from a time where VAR didn't exist and you knew it couldn't get disallowed. You knew once it had gone in and you'd looked at the linesman and he'd said that there was no offside and he was happy with it, you knew it would stand, rather than now where if you score a last minute goal or a last 10-minute goal, you're waiting for that check.
Get it in your teeth.
Yeah, you can initially celebrate, but there's always that little bit of hesitancy and that bit of what if it gets disallowed, and obviously we've seen that in fine force against United at Goodison very, very, very recently. I'm ready to start whenever you are, mate, whenever everybody else is.
We'll get back underway.
Second half. Remember to click the arrow. There's 3 arrows, 2 next to the play button. Click the one on the right, and it'll take you straight to the second half, because it is divided into 2 files. It starts around 30 seconds in to the second half, and I'm underway. I am underway.
As am I.
Raphael plays it down to Valencia. Valencia playing on the right wing for Man United. Obviously moved to right back as his career went on. Ross Barkley again letting Fellaini know he's there. Loved that battle with Fellaini, didn't he? Must have had a little conversation with him before he left and said, next time when we come up against you, you're getting torn. Oof.
I miss those days of Joe. Oof, what a shot.
What a shot, and then he gives away a silly foul.
I miss those days though of like almost personal battles where you'd leave a bad challenge and you'd be straight back into like get back at them. I mean, I know we gave Son a lot of stick about it before with Gomez, but that was the kind of thing that was part and parcel.
Football.
I remember obviously Brian Marwood breaking Adrian Heath's ankle in the 80s, and Peter Reid within 10 minutes of that had gone in and snapped him. And that was what happened. I think it was looking out for your teammates as much as anything else.
It. And then the fans respond to that as well. Like you said, we don't see that
It's team spirit more than anything else.
And we don't see that very often. And obviously, we know whatever you think of the Gomez situation and how it was handled by the players, we know that certainly there wasn't many players in that Everton team that were in the face of Tottenham or at Tottenham. I think was it Luca Dean threw himself at the Tottenham bench and was having a go at them, but he was about the only one. Everybody else was very much just collected. And there was a situation a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember it, Anthony Knockaert went in 2-footed on Leighton Baines at Goodison Park.
Yeah.
And then he was sent off and he was on the other end of the pitch, so he had to walk the rest of the pitch. Got a break here before I tell the rest of that story. Barkley, another corner for Everton. We must have had about 12 corners so far, something ridiculous like that. Anyway, Anthony Knockaert made the 2-footed challenge. Brighton were getting battered, and it was completely out of just frustration. I think he made the challenge on Baines. Baines went down, had a little bit of a go at him, but he had to walk the length of the pitch, and Seamus Coleman ran up to him and grabbed him and was giving him loads, and that really ignited the fans, because ultimately you can see from that point that Seamus is sticking up for his teammate there. He's sticking up for Leighton Baines. He's saying, you're not going to do that to my mate, you're not going to do that to my colleague, and like you said, we don't see that an awful lot in this day and age, and maybe that does link into what we were saying before about the fact that players feel like they can't go into challenges or they can't get involved in situations because they'll just get booked. And I think
that's all part of. I mean, I'd say the game's becoming more sterilised in that respect, but sometimes I feel like it's only Everton being punished. I don't feel like a top six side would get punished if they showed that kind of passion.
And again, probably going down a big rabbit hole here, or wormhole, whatever you want to call it, but if we were televised and if Sky Sports were commentating and an Everton player done that, they'd probably be hung out to dry, and they'd be, why is he getting involved? He shouldn't be getting involved. But if it was a Liverpool player or a Man United player, it shows the team spirit, great camaraderie. You can see what they're building here. It's fantastic to see. And again, I honestly think the referees, I think it's a coincidence that the referees have got a lot, what seems a lot against Everton. And then when you watch the likes of Sky, I've watched far too many games where Everton have been on Sky, and the preview to the games, you haven't seen Everton once in the preview. They haven't spoke about us. In fact, they've spoke about teams that aren't even playing on the day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I think this is the point that we need to hammer home here, basically, is if we ever are to win titles again, we will between ourselves, obviously, because we'll never get it off the media, but we deserve a hell of a lot of plaudits for that, because we're not only fighting the odds of being a worse off team, like quality-wise, than maybe the sides above us at present, but we're fighting an agenda as well that is heavily against us.
There is a massive media agenda, and it's, for me, there's a few stages of that. At first, it's annoying, and you get angry, and you get frustrated. And then after a while, what I've known, especially in the last couple of years, I've just found it laughable, the agenda against Everton. And you've seen, like, when we in this season, for example, when we beat Arsenal and we went to fourth, all of a sudden it was the top three in the Premier League. Whenever we were fifth, it was the top four. Now, recently, since we've been eighth and ninth, it's the top seven now. Top seven, top eight. And your Leicesters and your Wolves are involved. And it seems like it's just anything to keep Everton out. And I honestly think, when you see the Sky Sports coming up with the top seven, I honestly think if Everton were placed in sixth, it'd be the top five, or it'd be the top.
Absolutely.
It'd be the top four. It's and again, when you see things like that, it's annoying and it's angering. But I think you do. Well, I do anyway. I just laugh at it now because I think it's just blatant. And I think the more that companies like Sky and BT think they can get away with it, the more laughable it is, because it's so noticeable to us as a fan base that there is an agenda, there is a massive media agenda against Everton.
At what point do Everton as a club, do you think, have to try and address that?
I think...
what can they do?
I think that's it. I think what can they do, do you know what I mean? I think if Everton were to write to certain publications, newspapers, certain media outlets and say, listen, we feel like we're not treated as equally as any other club, I think they'd just get a generic response back as to say, well, sorry you feel like that, we'll try and do more in the future, or here's 5 articles in the last 15 years that we've wrote about Everton, do you know what I mean? And I think the club at the moment are sort of feeling like they can't really do. What a shot that was by Lukaku, by the way. Nearly took the head off. Was it Chris Smalling?
It took Chris Smalling's head there.
Nearly put his head in the stand there. But I think Everton probably, again, taking a little bit of the just, we'll sit back and do our own bit rather than fighting it. And maybe if we did stand up and fight against it, the there wouldn't be as much of one, but I think they're probably just thinking, like a lot of us fans probably think, it's a losing battle trying to tell Sky Sports that, our players are doing as well as certain other players, or we're doing as well as certain other teams, because they just simply don't seem to listen. And again, there's a lot of money in football, a lot of money, and you don't really see sports or businesses or anything with this much money ploughed into it that are allowed to happen, that allow things to happen purely randomly. And by that, naturally, when there's a lot of money ploughed into situations, it's usually because there's an almost guaranteed outcome that's being told to these people that are ploughing money in. Because why would anybody plough £300 million into a project that you simply don't know the outcome of? And that's why the Leicester situation was so baffling, because nobody expected it. The media notoriously don't like Manchester City either, because what they done, they come and they upset the apple cart. But that's how I always think when we talk about agendas and we talk about media sources. I always think you won't see... Look at the WWE, they plough hundreds of millions into the WWE every year, but they know it's fake, it's falsified, it's storylines, it's created. I just don't see how something like this can have so much money ploughed into it and be allowed to just be completely random and completely, anything can happen. And I think that's sort of where I take on the refereeing situations and the Sky situations, etc. But as a club, I don't know if there's anything we can do, to be honest, other than probably complain and express, that we're not happy with it. But they'll probably just say, we'll improve on the pitch, wouldn't they? Or they'll probably just say, well, do more and you'll get the attention. I think, Everton have been... Oh, Seamus getting in the box there, getting taken out. Maybe potentially a penalty there. I think Everton done fantastically well, and I don't know whether people watching this or yourself or a lot of Evertonians realise this, but I think Everton done fantastically well on Boxing Day with the Ancelotti announcement, because if you remember, Arteta was announced in the morning and all of the media coverage was Arteta this, Arteta that. Prior to the game it was Arteta's will be a Goodison. The whole of Sky was Arteta, and then Everton sort of just went, Ancelotti's been appointed, and it all sort of had to change. They couldn't ignore that, they couldn't pass over that, they had to sort of say, bloody hell, Everton have gone and won up to me really. They've appointed a multi-time Champions League winner manager.
One of the best in the world,
one
really.
Of the best in the world, and I think that was sort of from Everton, as to say, well, if you're not going to listen to us when we complain,
stick your agenda.
Yeah, literally stick your agenda, and we're going to force you to put out the coverage, because and it was... We all knew Ancelotti was happening, we all knew it was a matter of time, but I remember literally going into the fridge, getting a slice of pizza, because I eat cold pizza, you might judge me on that, before the game.
Oh no, you can't argue with cold pizza.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing the day after. Before just before I left the game, looking at my phone and just seeing the announcement and being like, oh my god, they've done this literally, and they've done it 6 minutes before the team news was released. So I was like, video to announce Ancelotti, back on Twitter for the team news, and I was just like, my head's gone everywhere here. And it wasn't a structured announcement, like I said. It was realistically in a bit of an inconvenient time, because it was 5 minutes before the team news, an hour before the game. They could have announced it after the team news, when they knew people were going to see him going into the stadium. But I honestly think walking into the pub just before that game and seeing the headlines splattered with Arteta, my dad telling me the headlines were splattered with Arteta, and all of a sudden it just changed like that. I just think Everton done that purposely, and I think it was very clever.
I do think that's one thing I will say, is that this agenda's not going to go away, unfortunately, but I feel like Everton are wising up to it more in the last year or so, particularly since Barrett Baxendale took over maybe as the CEO. I think the whole sort of PR side of things has improved really, really well, I think, and things like that, just maybe telling them just little niggly things to like stick to the agenda, like, and I think that's really that's a good start in terms of maybe tackling it head on.
Yeah, spot on. But it was done in a subtle way. It wasn't done in a way where we've complained or it's come out with complained. It was done in a way that they announced their manager fair game. We had a manager who was at the ground, who fans were going to see at the ground and go, he must be the new manager because he's there watching the game. So they've gone, you know what? Let's just stick a little card in there now, and Sky have got to take note of it. They can't have Arteta plastered everywhere because we've just appointed Carlo Ancelotti. And I think as well, Sky would have been ready for the announcement in some form of way, because obviously they'll have known, but they wouldn't have been ready at that moment, 4 minutes before team news, for it all to go, because obviously they like to have things prepared, so they'll have been rushing around thinking, shit, we need to get this done, we need to get it out, we need to make sure it's covered. And I think Everton have done that and sort of sat back and laughed and gone, we've had you off there, we've truly had you off.
Try your best with that
exactly,
one, mate, yeah.
Exactly, and I hope we do it more. I hope we do it more often. I hope it more when rumours start coming out about, you know, like the Richarlison one in January, where they just completely made a rumour up for the sake of, you know, betting, or for the sake of making a rumour up about him going to Barcelona. I hope Everton do a bit more where they maybe, as soon as that rumour comes out,
knock it on the head,
or conveniently post a video of Richarlison saying, love you Evertonians, or I'm here, I love you, I love the club. Do you know what I mean? Just subtly do things that make Sky go, we've been had off there, or make these media companies go, they've done us in there, but in a way that we just go, oh, that was just convenience, he filmed that video before, so we just thought we'd put it up. And I think that a lot of Evertonians would get onto that straight away and they go, we know what you're doing here. You're attacking the agenda, and you're doing it in a professional manner, and a manner where nobody can complain about it, because we're not.
I think that they've done it. I'd like to say it's a really Scouse way of doing it.
It is. It definitely is.
It's quite like sort of savvy, if you like, and
it is.
I think like you say, the tackling the agenda in a very laid back way, which is what I like to see. To be honest, I think obviously the social media side of things. Also, Ancelotti like sort of nipped one in the bud, I think, in a press conference recently, didn't he?
He had a massive gold Sky, didn't he? He said any name you read in the papers is fake, and any name you read on Sky
is a lie.
And at that point, I think most of the journalists just sort of went, "We're being found out here. We've been," and now.
Well, the Sky journalist actually just went, thanks for that.
Exactly. And he done, I can't that. Say anything. And I think Evertonians have known, certainly as a fan base, and maybe it is a Scouse thing, Evertonians have known that, you know, anything you read in the paper, anything you see on Sky, most of it is utter dross.
Rubbish.
Utter dross. And unless you hear it from the club or the player or various other sources that are deemed, you know, more reliable than Sky.
More reputable, yeah.
It's a load of rubbish. And I think other clubs, especially after that Ancelotti comment, I think other fans of other clubs are starting to go, well, actually, maybe not everything Sky say it, because if everything Sky said was true, then Wilfried Zaha was crying out for a move to Everton on deadline day, and we'd bid about 7 times for him, and we'd bid 50 million, and he done it on deadline day. He done it with the Zaha situation, where Sky reported that we'd offered McCarthy and Tosin, and Everton reported half an hour later that there was no such deal, and we hadn't offered either player, and both players were at home and happy with being in Everton. Obviously, ultimately they left, and that's, you know, that's something that was not involved in that situation. But again, that was another situation where Sky really had it slapped in the face, and I don't know. I really have a bitter hot. I don't know if it's bitter or a feeling against companies like Sky, because they do these things and they make these situations up, and then they get found out, and then they sort of just go, "Oh, we'll move on to something else."
Wriggle out of it.
Wriggle out of it.
I mean, it's worth remembering that like Sky are owned by the same man who owns the Sun.
Exactly, and that says everything, doesn't it? That says everything you need to know. Someone getting a book in here. I don't know. It was Rooney having a go at Martinez there on the sideline.
Yeah, it was having a pop Jaggy. He slid in on Jags here. Oh, that's Jags made a meal of it. Like
he makes it. He goes. Did he hit his head there? I thought he just clipped him. He hit his head. No. And then Martinez not happy.
Oh, he just bashed his shoulder into him.
Yeah, again, Jags, they're doing exactly what we want to do. Get a little touch and make a meal of it. If you can get Rooney angered what you don't want Rooney to feel is, I'm going to go on and you know, like he's done at Goodison Park and scored and done the whole badge kissing. But if you can get him angered and losing his head, then I think that's what this team done really, really well, was make opposition players lose their head a little bit and get angry and get frustrated. And then we use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I love it when our players wind up the opposition. I think it just adds another layer to like the game, especially if you win.
Exactly, and you know, we see it.
That's why.
Go on.
Yeah, what are you saying?
I was just say we see it often. I remember Stephen Naismith laughing in the face of someone. I can't remember who it was, but Tompkins was it? Yeah, standing up laughing in his face directly. Obviously, Baines having a go at Arteta in the and Barkley telling him to shut up in the game against Arsenal this season. Pickford against the Newcastle fans in the game that we actually beat Newcastle at Goodison. When we scored, he ran around and he gave it to them. And like you said, when it goes right, it's fantastic to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, the best one, and this is why I was so upset that we ended up throwing that Newcastle game away in January, was the one where Lascelles started trying to give it to Calvert-Lewin. He just goes like, breath on you.
Yeah, exactly. And he had them, and it's something so childish and so like, but like, you look at it at the time.
But it was hilarious.
It was a belter. It was dead funny, and you could see Lascelles had just been like, I've just been done there. And something so childish in front of however many million people watching. I've just been absolutely had off there, and like you said, if they'd won that game, it'd have been that little bit more sweet. But obviously, again, there's not many times where I'm left speechless from Everton because I pretty much expect anything.
You've seen it all, haven't you? But
literally.
Apparently we haven't.
Yeah, I expect anything, but at that point, my jaw had well and truly dropped for a good 5 minutes after the full-time whistle.
I was completely bewildered for about 2 hours after that game. I usually do my match reactions on here, and I couldn't bring myself to do one because I could barely register what I'd seen, to be honest. I couldn't explain it in a show or anything, what I'd just witnessed.
Yeah, and it's you can't really register it, can you? Because you don't expect it. Especially, I think it wasn't a game that we held on for or we got lucky to score 2 goals. It was arguably our best performance of the season in terms of just going out, beating a team out, or stuffing a team out right. And Newcastle were passing the ball around the back 4 in the last 2 minutes of the game, accepting defeat, and then one massive long ball and one mistake, and all of a sudden they get the edge and we fall to bits, which obviously is another thing that needs addressing by Carlo Ancelotti and his coaching staff. Not much going on here in the second half. 63 minutes in, about 15-18 minutes into the second half. United having a little bit more of the ball, I think, feeling a little bit more comfortable. Everton doing well though to just make sure that they don't quite break and they don't quite get anything. Seamus again moving into the midfield there. He's done that a lot in this game, moves into the midfield when he's needed to, when maybe Barry or McCarthy's have to step back. Pienaar making a good challenge there as well. Again, still very evenly matched, still probably needs to go up a gear or so. But United, I think they're getting a little bit more frustrated as the time's going on, is that they can't break the deadlock and that they can't pass through us as easily as they maybe would have wished. What do you think?
Definitely, I was just having a little look at this, and obviously we've seen Alex Ferguson for years as his team playing at such a pace. It must have been so depressing for United fans to come from that and see Moyes come in and have them playing like this, because I don't even recall Moyes playing this slowly at Everton at all.
No, I agree. It was always like it wasn't this slow. It wasn't the fastest, but it had a little bit of pace to it. And this Everton team under Martinez especially, we broke fast, we broke quick. We had a lot of quick plays. Even Barkley, who was just a centre midfielder, he had pace. He could run when he wanted to. Obviously, we knew Morales could, Lukaku. But you're spot on it. Under Alex Ferguson, they were quick. They were it was passing. It was a fantastic footballing side. Whereas it was a little bit calmer here under Moyes, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah, there was nothing intimidating if you look about the way we're knocking it round here. I didn't fear the way they were playing. Obviously, this is the same team that won the league a year earlier, but
exactly,
there's nothing to be scared of here.
Nothing at all. And I think we started to realise that as we got into the game a little bit more. I think we were maybe a little bit sheepish in the first half, certainly after the hit the post and that flick off Oviedo and Rooney come close. I think we were a little bit like, ooh, we need to watch out here. But the more in the second half we've started well. As you can see, 60 minutes in now, I think that fear that you initially probably go to Old Trafford with is drained now. And we're thinking, you know what, this is just another team that we could beat. And we're playing a little bit more freely. Oviedo whips a ball in there. Lukaku just can't.
Soft foul. Don't think that was a foul.
No, never. Morales wins the ball and Giggs just goes down and obviously
stares into the distance, like I say.
And plays for Man United, so that's a foul, obviously.
Obviously, by this point, Giggs was a centre mid, wasn't he?
He'd moved and he didn't quite have the pace to do his the wing role that he'd become accustomed to throughout his career. And he moved into the centre midfield. What a player though, technically, ability wise, what a player, especially when he had the pace
Yeah.
and he could play on the wing. I think, I don't know, you'd have to speak to Man United fans about this, but I think he maybe arguably stayed the season too long. He hasn't done an awful lot in this game, like you said. He's done a lot of staring into the abyss and sort of being the "I'm Ryan Giggs, how dare anybody pass through me." Technically on the ball, you don't
shouting for another penny. Yeah.
Is that Januzaj?
Yeah, he was one of them players. I couldn't stand him for some reason. I think he was just one of them. I think he's just got a bit of a punchable face.
There's a lot of players like that who for some. I've got a team of players that I strongly dislike. I've got a full team, starting 11 or at least 8, and a manager of people that I just don't like in football.
Go on, reel a few off for us.
Reel a few off. Sean Dyche is manager.
Yeah, well,
just because
I don't think we like watching his teams play either.
Obviously, the easy one would be Klopp, and then the entire Liverpool team, but I didn't want to go with that. Ben Foster's actually in there, and it's not so much his personality, or I just think he's an idiot when he plays.
Time wasting, I found as well. Horrific for that.
That's exactly the reason why he's in there. From minute one when he plays against Everton, he time wastes. Firmino's in there. Because again, not just because he plays for Liverpool, but because of obvious reasons. I just don't like the player at all. The Holgate situation sticks in my throat as well. Who else is in there? Kyle Walker's in there as well. Another one who I just think's very, very arrogant, and realistically, he's just shit. I just don't rate Kyle Walker whatsoever, and I think he rates himself massively. Substitution there, Delafeu coming on for Barkley, how important that was in the game.
Interesting change, yeah. Delafeu was at, like, this was probably the best sort of spell of form he was having in this season, if I remember rightly. Obviously, we had the Arsenal game to come, but we played Stoke the week before this. Yeah. And he scored in that.
He was in fantastic form. Who else is in my team? So we've got Ben Foster, Firmino's in there, Dyche is the manager.
If you don't say Andy Robertson, I'll be surprised.
Andy Robinson's in there. He's one that I just can't stand. Can't stand the attitude. Can't stand the.
One arrogant little git him, innit? Oh, yeah, there's Jerry.
It's the arrogant. I'm about to catch up to you. Jerry using that blistering pace to break through. Unlucky there. Probably should have done better there. Who else?
Yeah, he should have done better.
Who else is in my team? Let me have a think.
I've got one for you.
Danny Ings is in there. Jack Wilshere was in there yet when he played in the Premier League. I haven't seen him since. Is he still at West Ham or doesn't do much?
He is, yeah, but he doesn't get a kick. Probably injured.
Mark Noble's in there. Again, think a player that just.
I'm not that bothered about Mark Noble. I don't think.
Something about him that I just think, nah, I'm not a fan of you. But there's a lot. There's a lot of players that every time they come to Goodison, I just sort of think, you know what? I don't like you for some reason. Ben Foster's the one, because everything you hear about Ben Foster, he seems like a nice bloke and he does a lot for the community and he does well. But then, 10 seconds into the game, he's taking half an hour to take a goal kick, and you just think, you are an idiot. I'll probably think of players as it goes on the stream. I'll probably throw random names out at you, but being on the spot there, but no.
There must be a few at Man United, but
with Man United, the way I feel about Man United at the moment is I just feel irrelevant. Like, don't get me wrong, as soon as we were linked with Jesse Lingard the other day, I made a point of saying, no, please don't go anywhere near him, because he is just dreadful. But the players, I'm not really interested in them. I really don't. None of them bother me, sort of. Again, there's a couple of Liverpool, but the rest of them I'm just give or take. Not the biggest Henderson fan, to be perfectly honest with you.
Nah, but it's nowhere near on the level of hatred they have for Andy Robertson.
Yeah. Or Firmino as well. I also think Firmino's man. Again, he's a good player, but they'll argue he plays in the number 10 and he does this and he does that. But listen, for me, if you're a striker and you've only scored 1 goal at your own ground this season and we're in March, you're not good enough. You're not doing it. And if that was us and the other way around, and if he played as a 10, then whatever. But even if he played as a 10, Gylfi Sigurdsson's only scored 1 goal this season and played a lot of it in the number 10 role.
We're calling him
shite. Exactly, so, do you know what I mean?
What a save. What a save. At the bar. Oh.
I think I'm just... Is this from the corner? Let's have a go.
Yeah, it's from the corner.
Save it off the bar. Again, I didn't... Obviously, with these games, you remember the ending more than the rest of the game, but I didn't remember quite this much.
I don't remember them hitting the post like on 3 separate occasions, that's for sure.
There's another one here as well, Rooney. If he'd have kept a little bit of composure there, that might have ruffled straight in the back of the net. I think he's seen the stars there and the headlines again, but I think this was again towards probably towards the Rooney times where he was starting to realise that his career at Manchester United probably wasn't, probably wasn't going to last very much longer, obviously, before he joined the Blues.
Yeah, he was skied that one, didn't he?
He did. He seen the stars there, didn't he? What an opportunity as well. Again, reminds me a little bit like Bernard against Crystal Palace, where the ball comes in and he takes it on the ball.
Look at the absolute disinterest of Patrice Evra there as Moyes is giving him instructions.
Wait, I'm just waiting for the camera to flip. I can just see the back of his head. It doesn't.
No, that's it. No, it's just, you can just see him and he's like looking into the distance and then spitting water out and he just doesn't give a shit what he's saying. Yeah. And Vidic is just throwing himself.
The club didn't take to... I think in any other time, I think David Moyes probably went to Man United at the wrong time. And whether he left Everton at the right or wrong time is questionable, but I think he probably went to Man United at a time where it was a poison chalice, really, wasn't it? I don't think any manager, certainly not most managers in the world, would have gone to that team.
No one could have... It'd have to have been a Mourinho or someone like that to try and replace him.
And I think
and even then, we've seen Mourinho try at Man United and it hasn't worked.
Exactly, I think it was. And I think Alex Ferguson was very, very, very clever in that. I think he was probably thinking the season before, not the season before the season he left. He was probably thinking, this is my time to go. And then obviously the Robin van Persie come in and he probably seen it and thought, this is a guy that's going to guarantee me, with his goals, a Premier League title. And once he had the season out of Van Persie and it became clear that he wasn't going to be able to give another season, I think he very cleverly, Alex Ferguson, went, you know what, I'm going to walk here because I'm not going to get another decent season out of this lot. And he didn't want to taint his legacy, and he left. And Moyes come in, and like you said there, it would have had to have been a manager with, out of this world sort of managerial skill to come in and do that job. Because a lot of these players, when you look at it now, when you look back on it, you've got Rooney, who was coming to the end of his career at Man United at the top level. Evra, Vidic coming to the end of their careers. And then you've got players like Danny Welbeck, who we've since seen hasn't gone on to anything. Januzaj, who hasn't gone on to anything. Even Fellaini, who done a decent job for them, done well, but he was never a Premier League winning centre midfielder. Certainly not in
not small at
all, exactly. And again, I think he was very, very clever to leave when he did, Sir Alex Ferguson. But yeah, let us know what you think on this season, by the way. Obviously, it's very, very nostalgic. You've seen the James and Terry and Matt do the whole season review of it, and it was a fantastic season. Like I said earlier, when James nipped out, for me, my most memorable season as an Evertonian, I'm only 21, so I was alive in the 2005 Champions League, in the season when we finished in the Champions League, but I don't remember it as clearly as a lot of people will, because I still was very, very young, and football at that point was something I was very interested in, but obviously you're a child and there's other things going on. But this season, the 13-14, I literally remember going to Goodison every week and sort of expecting a fantastic performance and expecting a win, and then getting a win against Man United away from home, even the Arsenal game when Jerry scored the equaliser. It did feel like the start of something. It felt like the start of a team that could go on and win trophies and challenging, for the Champions League every season. And, obviously it didn't end how we would have liked it to end for Roberto Martinez, but you'll never be able to take away this season from him. I definitely don't think. And some of the performances we put in this season were fantastic. And even now, Man United have hit the bar and the post on 3 separate occasions, but we're still attacking, we're still going for it. Been a lot of times when previous managers, Everton and managers that haven't managed Everton, would have just said, you know what, let's just shut up shop here and just put 5 at the back, stick on Alcaraz, stick on Osman, and just short it out and go for the 15 minutes left, 25 minutes left, sorry. No, 15. My maths is shocking. Go for the draw, but no, we carried on and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed. If you are enjoying, of course, as well, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. Why not? Share the video. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Remember, still got 15 minutes left. If you want to join us and you haven't, get down to the description. The footballia.net link. Takes a couple of seconds to create an account and then just search for Everton. We're on the 3rd page. Obviously, Everton versus Man United. United again, a little bit more of the ball. They probably, I think it's fair to say, they probably took over a little bit more in this second half.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. Maybe they're attacking a bit more. Maybe they let the guard down as well defensively.
Yeah.
Maybe they were thinking that was that for us as far as attacking in this game was concerned, given the way things have gone for them maybe in the past.
Underestimated us.
Well, one back. Oh, that was never a foul again. Some very soft fouls given by Atkinson here against us.
Again, typical low, innit? Typical 50-50s, and when any other side does it, it's alright, but when Everton do it... Again, Oviedo putting in a good shift here. I can't quite remember why Baines... I assume, again, being 7
years. Speaking of players you don't like, Jordan Henderson stamped on his ankle in the derby the week before, and he was out for about a month.
Okay. Not good, yeah. Jordan Henderson again.
Yeah,
Suarez
so
was
Jordan Henderson...
Jordan Henderson's on the in the team. He's on the list. I'm just...
yeah,
go on.
I remember that was the beauty of this season. I remember Suarez stamped on Morales and put him out for a couple of months as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the year before, and then Morales come back and got his own back on him.
Didn't get sent off, did he, for that? Which, again, is another one I still look at and go, that's an amazing challenge, but there's a...
Yeah, and he scored in that derby as well.
Yeah. Was that the 3-0 one, or was that the year before?
3-0,
yeah. 3-0 one when Lukaku scored that header, and then we were all in dreamland, and then we done an Everton. That was it. Got a picture up on that Morales challenge of Pat van der Now making a very similar challenge against Sheffield United, I think it is. And it literally looks identical to Morales's, where it's just both feet scissored off the air, just simple intent to hurt the player. And
it's not Sheffield Wednesday by any chance, is it?
I don't know. It might be. I don't know off the top of my head. I just know.
I'm just thinking, is it the one I was on about before with Peter Reid after Brian Marwood's injured Adrian Heath? It might be Peter Reid snapping Marwood for Sheffield Wednesday.
Don't know. I'll have to double check it and get back to you, but I'm not. But I just know there's a picture. I'm sure it was Pat Van. It might be Peter Reid. Just absolutely scissoring through somebody.
It could be either of them, knowing the characters.
Yeah, that's it. The characters of that 85 team. Again, watching some of them performances, they're just unbelievable, and that's where I think a lot of Evertonians get our expectations from, is going back to games like that, and especially the older generation. You know, my dad specifically, a lot of the older generation have seen that Everton teams that would go. I remember one of the lads we go to the pub with and we go to match with, one of my dad's mates says to me every single time we go to match, every single week, he says to me, it didn't used to be a case of going to Goodison and thinking, would we win or would we not win? It was, how many would we win by? How well would we played? And he said, I used to remember leaving Goodison, winning 1-0 and being disappointed, or winning 2-0 and being disappointed. And I was like, it's just mad how things have changed. And obviously, hopefully we can get back to those days. But
definitely, Pinar's heading off now. Osman.
For Leon to provide some energy for the last 10 minutes. And that's what you knew when Osman would come on, or when Osman would start, he would give 110% every time.
Is sub for United as well, like Hernandez coming on for...
He's
coming off the well there.
MLS now, is he? Is he not LAFC?
Is he? Yeah.
He's LA. I think, is it LAFC? I don't think it's Galaxy. Maybe it is Galaxy. No, I think it's LAFC.
I'm not too
it's
sure.
LAFC because he went over there whenever their transfer window was. I think it might have actually been Feb, and I just remember seeing all of the the Jimmy Fallon and the James Corden interviews and all the media stuff around there. It isn't just like an interview with Sky like it is here. It's like all the talk shows and all of that. But yeah, he's over there in LA playing at the moment. Fellaini leaving a little bit in there on McCarthy. Oof. I was like, and again, another good old-fashioned challenge there.
A lot of man-to-man battles in this game. McCarthy looks like he's here. Oh, look at that.
Strong one, that. But again, Everton, knew, and I think Roberto Martinez knew, in the squad knew going into this game. It was Marouane Fellaini. He was the big target. Look at the graze down his leg. Bloody hell. He was the big target, he was the big man, he played against Everton, so I think a lot of the instruction was get at him. If you're near him, make sure he knows you're there, put him on his arse, barge into him, push him, go him, match him for challenges. And if you do that with Fellaini, I think he loses a bit of his game. Whereas if you let him bully you, see, it's a vicious challenge, that one. But equally, if McCarthy gets his chest, probably similar on Fellaini.
There you go, look at that. Oh yeah, by the way, shout out to anyone, guys, who's going out at 8 o'clock to clap for the NHS.
Definitely.
We'll have a little round of applause on here while we're taking part.
It might
coincide with
something. It might. I've just seen the clock there. I thought,
just looking at watching the clock on this, yeah.
Oh, what a boss coincidence that would be.
Yeah, we are. We've done all this on purpose, that's for sure.
McCarthy going off there, obviously, understandably, after just being scraped. He had about 17 boot marks down his leg there. I'm not too sure how that's worked, but he had about 5 grazes. But yeah, obviously, the NHS are unbelievable. All key workers
doing brilliant.
Doing absolutely brilliant. Literally like real life superheroes, lifesavers, literally lifesavers and real life superheroes. And we need to give as much appreciation as we can, and that includes by doing what the government are saying and staying indoors and only going out when absolutely necessary. Because ultimately, you know, not only are you potentially harming yourself, you're potentially harming other people, and you put more strain on the National Health Service when at this point when it doesn't need it. Really doesn't need it. David Moyes looking a little bit clueless there whilst that's a backhand ball.
I think that was the sort of money shot, wasn't it, where the meme come from? I think, don't sit down, soft lad.
Yeah, exactly. Looking a little bit at where do we? I think at this point he sort of felt like from a United point of view that they were all out of trying, and they tried and they'd attacked, and at the times that they were getting in, obviously they were maybe potentially unlucky, but a lot of the time we were defending well and we were carrying on.
Yeah, we're starting to dominate this now.
We were carrying on going, and I think that's the last thing Man United would have expected is Everton to, after, you know, having our post it 3 times, that's a bad foul. Carry on going forward and trying to get the winner. Ozzy taking it well there.
Heavy that.
Oof. Flans him straight out.
Oh, another one.
Bang.
Heavy challenge. Right, take your clock, guys. I'm just going to give a few rounds of applause, guys.
My time is a little bit behind here.
You hear plenty out the window as well.
You hear the fireworks in a second as well. Obviously, everybody out.
Yeah, there's one. Awesome. One's just gone there.
I think I've just heard one as well. I think. Yeah, there you go. 2, 3. Everyone.
Bang. Oh, hit the post as well. That's well worthy of applause in itself there from Morales.
Bloody, that would have been some finish, that. That would have been some finish if we would have won the game off of that. Jagielka up there, making a chance. Lays it off to Jerry. Jerry takes 1 on, takes 2 on. Again, maybe tries to do a little bit much there. Could have potentially fallen over.
Yeah.
It comes out. Seamus to drill it back in. He's got McCarthy with him. He goes for McCarthy. Back there, Lukaku. Has a shot. Falls to Oviedo. 1-0. Get in. 5 minutes to go and Everton have made it 1-0 at Old Trafford. Bryan Oviedo getting on the end of what was a Romelu Lukaku shot cross. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Who cares? Bryan gets on the end of it.
I've always wondered that. Did Lukaku mean this? I don't think he does.
I don't know. It's like the Moise Keane situation in it against Watford. Did he see Walcott or did he just fluff a shot? But it's great play there. Great ball in. I think. Is that Jagielka? Lukaku? Probably a poor shot, but Oviedo with a fantastic...
I think it's such an underrated pass from Jags to Lukaku with the build up to this. It's a really, really good ball. And like you say, I think given Lukaku's usual nature, his killer instinct, I think he means to shoot there.
Yeah, I do as well.
But not that weekend. There's the classic Roberto Martinez celebration there.
Arm up.
The one on, yeah.
I actually think it's quite an underrated finish by Bryan Oviedo as well, because it's not the easiest of angles. It's tight and it's getting tighter, and there's a man on the line as well. So I actually think it's a fantastic finish. Obviously, the crowd go absolutely nuts. If you're watching live, leave a like for that finish. What an absolute unbelievable goal that was. And again, Everton not letting the pressure get to them, not giving up, carrying on till the very, very end. 4 minutes to go. The crowd have gone absolutely nuts. The defence have just got to keep themselves assured now, because Man United will come back. They don't want to lose this game. Like I said, if you're watching, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Get your comments in. Sure, we all remember that goal very, very fondly. It was at this point 7 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever it was, 7 years ago, where I'd probably just put my foot through the coffee table by accident, jumping up, celebrating, seeing the ball out.
Yeah, this is
fantastic defending there by Bryan. Bryan, fantastic in this game. Again, it probably wasn't another criminally underrated Everton player. You know, I remember Stephen Naismith very fondly, and I loved Stephen Naismith. Same with Osman, but then you watch games like this previously and you think, bloody hell, these players were genuinely fantastic.
Done really well for us. It's worth remembering as well. I've just looked back over the passage of play there when they showed the replay. That whole passage of play which led to the goal, Jagielka being as far forward as he was to lay it on for Lukaku, that all came from the free kick which Morales hit the post with.
And players not...
which was a brilliant free kick in itself.
Get to change the graphic there so we can see 1-0. Almost forgot to do that then. But yeah, and you know, it shows that, you know, the free kick was minute and a half before that, but the players didn't rush back. Jagielka didn't ultimately rush back. He wasn't afraid of a possible counter. He stayed calm, he stayed composed.
Passed there by Osman to Jerry there. We're still attacking even though we're a goal to the good.
We want more. You can see the faint blue flare there in the corner of the screen. If you're watching live, you can just see how the smoke's affected the camera. Still getting involved, still going around.
It was brilliant atmosphere in the away end there. I remember the smoke bomb, and then this was around the time of the game when the classic song "Are You Watching David Moyes" comes out, I think.
Yeah, and the 60
ball
grand
brilliantly.
Seamus Coleman song was founded this season, wasn't it? If I'm rightly.
It was, yeah, and it was changed to Stuck with Moyes, Man United for this special occasion, if I remember rightly. So Alex not enjoying what he's seeing there
whatsoever.
Look at the aggression there from Coleman.
Coming again.
Still going on.
Moving again.
Still moving it forward. Jerry still bombing it into the area. Oh, I could have done more with that.
Brilliant.
Look at it. We've had 2-3 more attacks since scoring the goal in the space of 4 minutes.
And arguably should have done more with them all as well. And just on the Seamus point there, again we're seeing Seamus moving into the midfield, coming from right back because he knows there's not going to be a threat at that point down that right hand side, and moving into the midfield and allowing McCarthy and Barry to have that little bit of a rest, whether it may be, or allow them to occupy another space on the pitch, get maybe a bit further forward to allow a counter-attack. And again, we missed that from Seamus. We miss him moving into the midfield, getting involved, because he's done. If you're on the centre of the midfield, an opposition player, the last person you're expecting to be behind you is the right back, because you're thinking he's either sticking on in his position at the right hand side or he's pushing forward, but he's not. He's getting involved, and again, I think that was something quite unorthodox from Martinez's team. Is no, you know, he didn't often see right backs and left backs moving into the midfield in occasions where they didn't necessarily need to, especially when there's two defensive midfielders who could have done that. But we've seen that a lot with Seamus Coleman in this game. 4 minutes added on.
It's not a game at Old Trafford without 4 added minutes.
It's not. Certainly not when they're 1-0 down. I'm surprised there wasn't more, to be honest.
Moisey time.
Distan casually missing the ball there. Definitely meant that. Definitely meant.
Fellaini really deep. You think if this was Mourinho's United, Fellaini would be in the box waiting to get the ball punted up to him by now.
Exactly. He'd be right up there. No messing about. Seamus getting it out there again. Gareth Barry calmly taking it down. Be fantastic today. United having the more of the possession, but doesn't matter.
I mean, looking back, this is quite a scrappy game.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get the goal, we've got so much composure on the ball. We're like keeping the ball really well and seeing it out pretty professionally, considering the occasion here. Stephen Naismith coming on now. for Kevin Morales.
What a legend. Skinhead there, big steak.
Scottish Messi.
Scottish Messi, indeed. The Scottish man. I remember his wife used to tweet and stuff as well and do the social medias after the games, and when he scored and that, his wife would be loving interacting with the fans because the fans would be all over it. Tell Stephen he was boss today, belter performance that, and his wife would be posting pictures of him on the couch with the man of the match award and all that. I remember that game against Chelsea at Goodison.
The classic, she put the photograph up on Instagram with him with the match ball in the tunnel.
Yeah. He's boss. Absolutely boss.
Yeah, still closing down with 3 minutes to go.
Still got the energy to do it as well. This one thing I've noticed from this game, watching this game specifically, how fit with this side. I
think that's what we lost when they had an extra pre-season of Martinez. I think Moyes did have this team so well drilled physically.
Yeah, definitely. You've got Gareth Barry there who was, again, getting towards the end of his career, getting on a little bit, still running with all his energy and all his passion on the 90th minute of a game he's played 90 minutes of. And like you said there, that's one thing definitely we lost, but certainly one thing that we just don't have now either. I just don't think we've got it now. We haven't got that. We haven't got that fitness for me. I think that's something that we've struggled with over the last couple of seasons. Personally, anyway, players do seem to get naturally more tired a lot quicker. Whereas this side, as you've said, they're winning 1-0, and since we scored the goal, we've had 4 opportunities where we've broke. Lukaku having one there, just a little bit off target.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a shame really, because I think that's paramount importance in the Premier League. You've got to be a fit side, and I think unfortunately nowadays we're probably one of the least physically fit sides in the league.
We are 100%.
I see us losing physical battles, and if anything, that hurts Everton fans personally at times. If you ask me, I think to see your players not be. I mean, it's an ability thing because you aren't physically able to, but it comes across as the players aren't as committed as the next person.
Yeah, it does.
And that's very, very important to Everton fans, and it's what gets the atmosphere going at Goodison. And we need our players to be more combative and more aggressive. And if we do that, we can get back to days such as these, hopefully, where we go to the Old Traffords and hopefully Anfields and start getting wins.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But you're spot on. There's, it's sort of, again, it's a little bit of a smack in the face to fans when your players are losing physical battles, and they might just be doing that because they're not fit enough or they haven't got the energy.
But it doesn't really matter whether it's a fitness thing or a commitment thing. It still hurts the fans to see that.
Spot on.
And especially Everton fans who pride themselves so much on the sort of physical battles and
the commitment.
Goodison being a bear pit and all that, and it means so much. So it'd be nice to see Ancelotti and his coaches take that on board and hopefully have the team really well physically drilled ahead of next season.
Yeah, spot on.
David De Gea punts it up. Can't be far from the final whistle here.
Before they played, half a minute.
Bit of extra Moyesy time there for Man United, but there it is.
Martin Atkinson saying, but there you go.
I think that's it. No, it's not. Still got to take a free kick.
Oh no, giving a free.
Nope.
What is the point in that free kick at 30 seconds after the exit?
Give us 30 seconds. Look at Moyesy sour gob, and there's the final whistle.
We go. Everton have beaten Manchester United for the first time in God knows how long by
21
years. There you go, by 1-0. What a fantastic performance. Certainly after the goal, Everton not giving up at any point in the game, despite the fact that we had our post hit once, the bar hit a couple of times. Man United were getting forward, especially early on in that second half. But Everton, the more we grew into it, the more we started to realise they're not really a team to be feared, as much as maybe they once were. We got into our game.
The fans there.
We scored the goal, and the fans, like you said, James, fans absolutely loving it. One of the best nights, certainly in recent years, being an Evertonian. I think we'll all agree with that one. Bryan Oviedo getting the goal, and shortly, I suppose we'll see him on the shoulders of Sylvain Distin.
Moyesy pegging it down the tunnel, getting taunted by the fans.
Straight away.
Giggsy's trying to mouth off to no avail.
Into distance.
I wonder if he knew at this point that he'd be the manager come the end of the season.
I think he probably knew it was only going one way. Whether he was going to get it or not, I don't know. Rooney,
look at that.
Disinterested. not very happy. Lukaku with the fans there. Morales loving it with Bryan. Seamus, that
absolute scenes, unbelievable scenes.
Team spirit, that camaraderie, and that is it. What a game and what a win for Everton there in December of 2013. Hopefully we see more of those days coming soon. Certainly more days where we beat top sides or sides in the top 6, whatever you want.
What we can say is, if anyone can do it, it's certainly the manager we've got right now.
It is 100% spot on.
But it certainly won't be the last time we'll be doing these sort of season rewinds, sort of re-watches, or whatever you want to call them. So if you want us to do another rewatch like this, be sure to give us some suggestions in the comments and let us know what you want us to do next time. What game sort of lives long in the memory for you, which you'd like to relive for a second time. But yeah, that's all we've got time for. So if you want to leave us a comment, give us a like and a subscribe, and thanks so much to Cameron for joining us from the Mighty Blues.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
It's been an absolute belter of a time reliving the memories of that game. It
has, certainly.
Nice to have a bit of positivity in your life as an Evertonian. It doesn't come round often enough.
It doesn't, and certainly at a time when it's very easy to be negative and it's very easy to be down at the minute. And for once, it's not because of Everton, it's because of something completely different. But a massive thanks for having me on. And yeah, what a fantastic game that was to watch along.
Yeah, it really was. And of course, before we finish, another big shout out to the NHS and the key workers out there. Anyone who took the time out during the stream to pop outside and give a round of applause. We gave a little round of applause while we were here, but if they had it out in the streets, it's really good. If anyone's been taking the time out every Thursday to go and applaud the NHS, because they're doing really well, all the key workers really. So well done to anyone who's done that, and a big shout out, of course, to the key workers keeping us going a hard time like this. And that's all we've got time for. So thanks so much for tuning in, and of course, thanks Cameron, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Up the Toffees.
Up the Toffees.
Give it a sec.